Six pack Lapadat, and we got Jonathan Cayco. Holy moly, my man! I remember at Sheffield. I think it was the after party. You told me you were thinking about taking a little bit of time off. Finally, to I mean, here's a stat. Since 2021, you have only competed in nationals, worlds, and Sheffields. Bang, 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 bang. Nationals, worlds, Sheffields. Talk about intensity since 2021. And the amount of battles and close battles and showdowns you've been in for years is crazy. And you were on the podium at three different worlds, on the podium at two different Sheffields, and I don't know how many world records you have, but tons, especially in the bench press. And you think of all the podiums at all the different events at all the different years, and you were ranked even before that worlds. You were ranked number one because COVID was around and lockdowns, etc. So even before that 2021, that I'm picking up all these stats, you were already ranked number 193. You've it's been you've been in the kitchen and the heat was hot for years, over and over and over and over and over. And it was because of 93s, even still is just so close, so close, so close. You were always in like in battles in the meat grinder, so to speak. And when you said at Sheffield, you were said, I think I'm going to take a little time off to take a step back. And and I wasn't sure. I'm like freaking. I'm like, I think I told you. I don't know if I was acting like you were retiring or what. I was like, my man. No matter what happens, I'll never forget you. You've impacted me
Yeah,
so. I was like, holy.
I'll be back.
I
I
took it
was,
like you were
yeah,
breaking up with me.
yeah.
I was like, don't do this to me
I'm
right now.
fine. I'm like, just give me like a little bit, bro.
Yeah, give me some breathing room. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, it's and since then you've done. I mean, I've seen you do seminars. I've seen you've hosted a meet. Your social media has gone insane.
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
posts with 200,000 likes, 100,000 likes. Like it's crazy.
Mhm.
And then your lifts now. Holy smokes, Jonathan! Talk about taking a step back only to get a running start. Holy freaking smokes, man! What like we have a lot to catch up on because it's been almost
Right.
a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
But so what led into the decision to take a step back? Injuries, health wise, running the comp at the meet you did, the Cayco was like I love the Cayco Classic, the invitation you had. I love social media's been blowing up. How the hell did all this happen? You did seminars all over the world. You were in Malaysia. Um, how everything turned around for you in terms of health wise, physically, um, in where you're at now is phenomenal, man. I don't know. This has been like such a productive year for you,
Right.
and you haven't competed since
Yeah.
Sheffield,
Yeah.
which is, you know, it so
Yeah.
looks like the break was needed. You
Yeah.
got so much
It
done,
really
it's
was.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, I don't even know where to start. Maybe we
Yeah.
start
It's a
at
lot.
Sheffield.
It's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah. Honestly, we had to start kind of before Sheffield.
Okay.
So we'll cut back a year. So, it's about the end of the year. And I think when this comes out, by the way, Happy New Year, everyone. But right now it's about to be New Year's, in the time of recording this. But about this time last year, 2023, so we were leading up into this the most recent Sheffield, that happened in 24 Sheffield. I remember in December, it was around November, December, but I remember specifically mid-December of last year that I was completely like utterly burned out. Like,
Mm.
and that was something interesting to me because in my whole life, as competitive as I am, as active as I am in sports and anything I do, right? Video games, anything you're competitive in, I've never felt that. I've never felt that burnout. It was almost interesting to me. It was almost fascinating. I was like, so this is what this feels like,
Mm.
Like, because I've heard, I have friends, I have friends all over, and they're like, yeah, I'm burned out. I'm like, okay, it's fine, it happens. But it's different when when something happens to yourself, right? Um, And the reason I was burned out because jumping back even further, you and I spoke back in 2021. I wanted to take a break.
Mhm.
I've been hurt. I've been like I would have injuries. My first major injury I would say was late 2020. Um, that was around the time my grandma passed away, and I was very stressed at that time. So, that kind of didn't help. Um, so I had injuries, but I would overcome them, but it never like went away. It would always linger. Like maybe it's not hurting at a 8 out of 10 anymore. Maybe it's a one. Okay, we can still lift,
Mhm.
and you do that for so many years. I kind of compiled injuries from 2020, 2021, 2022 I had more, 23 I had more, and so back to the end of last year, 23, I hurt my hip again, and this was new. This was like a hip flexor quad strain. I couldn't walk without pain for like 6 or 7 months
Oh
from
my
last
God.
December. Yeah, because like I would take a step, here's me walking, like I would land on my right heel, and it was just like a 10 out of 10 pain up into my like quad and
Holy
hip.
moly.
Um, so I had to like learn to walk different. It was funny. Like we were saying, anyways, hurting, pain, basically I re-injured myself again end of last year. And I'm like, okay, we have Sheffield in like whatever 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Uh, so that was like a big turning point. So I was like, um, late last year, back, I was saying, no matter what happens at Sheffield, I'm probably not going to opt to do Worlds, and I'm going like I'm taking my break. I don't care what anyone says because I was gonna take that break. I've been trying to take breaks for so long. Excuse
I
me.
know.
Yeah,
It feels like
like
everyone talks you out of it. Like, no, you can't break now. It's great.
no, exactly. Like after the first, okay, so we did the first Sheffield. So let's keep going back a little bit. Um, so we did the first Sheffield back in 23. That went well for me. Still injured going into that one. It wasn't that bad, but I was still pretty injured going into that one. I still had some hip stuff going on. So I was like, you know what? I was talking to my coach. I even talked to Jesus. We spent some time. I spent some time with him and his family during the 23 Sheffield. I talked to Nina and I was like, okay, I'm gonna, like, okay, Sheffield was cool. At the time, that was the goal. I was like, cool. Now, like, we did Sheffield. It's all done. I'm gonna take my break. I'm gonna take this time off. And they're like, oh no, like you have Worlds in 11 weeks. Like, why don't you go do Malta? So Malta was June, Worlds 2023 in June of 23, which is like it was an 11-week window from the 23 Sheffield to that Worlds. And they're like, just do it, just do it, get it back. Even Pete was like, like, how can I convince you to do it? And I'm like, so I was like, okay, not just like it wasn't really peer pressure. I was just like, okay, like I'll do it for you guys a little. Like, I really care about you guys, and like, of course I'll do it for myself as well. So sure, I'll squeeze one more out. And after this, we'll do it. So cut back to there. I win that Worlds 23. I'm like,
What was your
okay,
best
cool.
for me? Just sorry to pause for one sec. That performance finally, that was not even like that was a battle, but by before the last deadlift, you already won.
Yeah.
That was like the first time we saw you like, okay, well, that's that.
Mhm.
You won before even the last. It usually always comes down to the last deadlift. That world, I like, thank God you did it. Now looking back, you look so good at that world. I'm sure you
Yeah.
were in pain and everything, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the healthiest meet I've had so far going in
mm,
because the quick turnaround, we changed some stuff from Sheffield just so I had more time to rest, and that's literally all I needed. Um, so after that, there's this like I have a 6 month window to the next Sheffield, but it was already too late. I was just like I didn't have time. I just was hurt, and I just couldn't get over the injuries. Even if it was just like mentally, not just physically, but mentally I was just drained. Emotionally I was drained. So getting to the next Sheffield. By the time I got there, so let's cut back to this year's Sheffield, right? 2024.
mm,
Um, by the time I got there, it was so interesting. And it's been fun. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. So it's fun for me. There's a lot to unbox here. I
mm.
remember getting to that Sheffield. I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, this is the only thing I was thinking. I even sat with, my peers, my coach, and, I spoke to, like my family was there. I was like, okay, this is great. This is all good. No matter what, like I want to win this Sheffield and I'm going to retire because I'm so like done. I'm so like checked out. I was so checked out at that time. I remember. And um, when we got to warm-ups, I remember I'd wait in and we got to warm-ups. I remember the only thing that was on my mind was I wanted to take Nina to dinner. I remember that was it. That was all I was thinking about. And I was like, wow, damn, I'm really like burned out. Like,
Yeah.
like,
You're thinking about the after party
yeah, I was just,
already. That's
all I want to do is like just sit down and have a nice like just like just like ask Nina what she wants for dinner. Like at a table at like a restaurant or something. And mind you, that's like during squat. We're like I have like the bar on my back squatting.
Jesus.
Um,
That is
so
interesting. You must have
yeah,
been when you thought that, were you like, okay, here it is. This is what burnout feels like. You just don't
yeah,
give a shit. You're here
yeah,
and you don't
exactly.
you I'll feel
It's
better
not,
when
yeah,
I get there. I'll get excited when I get there. And you're like,
yeah,
still not
and,
excited.
yeah, it's not that you don't care. It's just like there's nothing to pull from. And it's so
Hmm.
interesting, right? Again, that's the first time that's ever happened to me in my life. Like, I've always pulled from something, even if I had to make it, right?
Hmm.
That's just kind of how I was raised, and just how I am as a character, I suppose. And when that happened, I was like, what? I was almost like, again, like I was almost fascinated by it. I was like, whoa, like, hey, I'm like doing this meet right now, but like all I'm thinking about is just like spending time with my loved ones, not not just Nina. So, but it was nice, like on that same note, my family did come. It was the first big meet rather that they've been to. First to meet my sister and my brother have been. My sister, my nieces and nephew came. Um, so they were there. They were in attendance, and I feel like they helped me. They were the only thing, not the only thing, but they were the major one I could pull from. Uh, you know, um, I spoke about it. I wrote about it a bit in my posts. But when I came to like in that same Sheffield, so my second squat was overturned from the jury. So I was like, okay, like I was like, okay, cool. We'll have to take a third. I remember the only thing I thought when I unracked my third attempt on squat at the previous Sheffield was I'm not going to miss this because I have the girls watching my little nieces. Like that's only like I have to sync this because they're watching me. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I just have to sync this because they're here watching. So, because you have to set an example, right? Or you just want to do well. So I got the third squat, fortunately, and that was good. That was another 300 kilo squat in my belt. I have a running joke that I've hit 300 for like I want to say it's about 7 meets in a row now as my third attempt. And the thing is, it never feels heavy on my back. It's just things hurt, things crack, things pop,
Hmm.
things creak. Um, but yeah, through that meet, by the time I got to bench, I was like, okay, like now I get to maybe I can relax a little, or it was the same kind of theme for me the whole time. I was like, okay, let me just get through this meet, and we can call it. And then so deadlifts come around. Um, I pull for my third, and I remember so um third deadlift, I think we had 342 and a half, 347 and a half, excuse me, loaded. And I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, okay, 347 and a half loaded.
That's right.
And yeah,
For
yeah.
your third, yeah.
And I remember I started feeling pain in my the scar. I have like a scar here. And it was kind of like pulling up to my rib. And I remember I had never felt that. It was very reminiscent. The only ever time I ever felt that, and it's always before a deadlift for some reason, was during 2022 Worlds, right before I missed my third deadlift, the 2022 Worlds in South Africa.
Hmm.
So I felt that, and it immediately reminded me of South Africa. And
Holy
I was like,
smokes.
yeah, I was just like, in my head, I was like, because they were loading the bar, and if you look, they do the stupid pan on me, you know,
They always want to recreate that magic,
yeah,
right?
and no, shout out to Zach, yeah, I love him, he knows I'm messing around, and if you look, I'm kind of like turned to my side because I'm trying to like lean away from that rib and that
Oh,
scar.
wow.
Yeah, because it was like 9 out of 10. It was like think of a cramp behind your rib pulling down into
Hmm.
your like your stomach until you like your into your ab area. So I started feeling that, and I was like, oh man, this reminds me of 2022 South Africa. So I was like, okay, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna pull this, and if this wins me the meet, I'm retiring. I'm putting my belt down, 100%. Because I was just like, I was like, it's like it's been so much for me, and people around me. Um, so I pulled the deadlift, and that's why I like, I was just like, oh, and of course, like Gustav goes and pulls his, and it was fantastic. It was a great pull, solid pull. So that kind of like changed the my thought process, the trajectory. Because at first I was like, okay, cool, I'm in first, but I was like, oh dang, like how much does he have to pull? I'm like, he might have that. I was like, I'm gonna lean he has that, but who knows, right?
Hmm.
Because that was reminiscent of 2021 Worlds. I don't know if you remember.
A little, yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. So, but then this time he gets it, and I'm just like, ah, fuck, like in my head, I'm like, what's the next move? I was already thinking like, what's the next move? But I was like, okay, well, that doesn't matter right now, anyways. I'm gonna be with my family. So Sheffield's done. We have our conversations and the after banquet and all that. But I get to spend the next 10 days with my family around Europe. We they had I was with my brother was there. I think that was my brother's first time in Europe. That was my dad's first time in Europe. Um, my mom was there, of course, and my brother-in-law was there with the kids, like I mentioned. So we spent time in Paris and we went to London together. We had an Airbnb in Paris together, and we went to
That's cool.
and like I got to spend time with them. I took Nina to Disneyland, Paris Disneyland.
Oh no
Uh,
shit.
yeah,
How does it compare to the American versions?
honestly, it's like this. It's pretty similar to the one we
No,
have here in
okay.
Anaheim. Yeah, yeah, but the difference is everyone's smoking. Like everyone's
Yeah,
smoking. There's no smoking areas. Everyone's just walking around smoking. Yeah, I
the
just thought
freaking
that was a yeah.
I'm not going to out nobody, and I'm not going to sidetrack your story either, by the way. But a lot of the French lifters, you would be surprised, smoke. Like, I mean, world champions. I won't say their names, but I'm like, you smoke? When I go to like silent work or whatever, like, there's a lot of them that smoke. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's just
But
I think it's a culture. It's just like a normal thing.
yeah,
It's part of the culture too.
yeah,
No, it was fun, and that really I suppose jump started what I wanted in a sense. I was like, okay, like Sheffield didn't go exactly how I wanted, but that's no me does. I still did fine for the most part. Um,
second in Sheffield, which is
yeah.
all world champions. You did amazing still. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and now I'm gonna focus on just being here, spending time with my family, especially Nina. That was like the overlaying theme is I wanted to, for so many years especially being in pain, I'm not gonna go out, I'm not gonna go do these things. Anyone who at a top level of any sport, um, has sacrifices they have to make, be it time or anything, right? So I was like, okay, now I have time. I was like, I'm gonna do this break. Now all of a sudden I have this big window of time in front of me. I was like, that's cool. Let's see what I can do with it. Because I've been planning to do that for so many, and I think the thing I did wrong prior when I did have like little windows of a few months here and there was I never had time. Like maybe I physically recovered, but I never like emotionally, you never had time to emotionally like kind of recoup and things like that. And I think that was something I uh, almost underestimated about how much pile up I had on myself. Not just from lifting and training, but other things, of course, that happen in life. Um, so yeah, we did that trip in Europe with my family, and that was great. We went to London. We went to the museum. Uh, what's the name? The Natural History Museum? Is that what it is? Or am I thinking? Oh shoot!
I,
No, no, no.
let me go.
The God,
Is it? This is in Paris.
the Smith. No, no, the one. Yeah, I'm dumb. The one in London. Oh my God.
I'm gonna check it out right now.
Yeah, it's the Natural History Museum. Yeah, yeah, it
It
is.
is
Okay,
Natural History Museum.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Just to spend time. Those are things you think about when you're younger, like Or at least I thought about it. I was just like, oh, am I ever gonna have reasons? Like, oh, you see that on TV or whatever. You're like, huh, I wonder if I'll ever be there with like my family, and you find yourself there, and those are things I was very grateful for. And especially the Nina taking Nina to Disneyland Paris. That was great. Because that was impromptu. We were just like, hey, we were like just sitting around in the Airbnb, and I was like, hey, do you want to go to Disneyland? She was like, sure, and we just yeah, we
Really?
just we took like
That's,
a yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we just it was like an hour Uber over there, and so we were very, yeah, we had plans, but we were very just exploring the city. We walked around. I went to some thrift shops. We found it's funny. There's another running joke we have. We always somehow find a gaming cafe or some type of like video game cafe with SPCs. Like back, for example, back in 21 in Sweden and Halmstad, we
Mm,
found one.
mm.
It was just like a bunch of kids playing games. So as we walked in, we started playing games. Um,
And
yeah,
you, for anyone listening, you were like top end gamer,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
full throttle in.
yeah, yeah.
So this is it's ironic that you would find these spots.
Yeah, so it's funny. So in Paris, we were just walking back home to the Airbnb, and we happened to run into one of their it's a big gaming cafe. It's for their French. It's for the French team, the major French team that plays there. I forget the name exactly, but it was a big, big one. They had a lot. It was full. All the PCs were full, but we went in and we got our turn to play, and it was fun. So we thought it was
How'd
funny.
you
I mean,
do? How'd
no,
you
I
do?
mean,
You
we yeah, we no, we just played like a casual thing, just to like do something else, yeah. Um, but yeah, so I'll move forward a little from that. So that trip was
well,
good.
at this point, real quick before you move forward. First off, to hear you say if you won, you would have laid your belt down on the platform, meaning you retire.
Mhm.
Um, frig man, the way things are going, it's almost like, yeah, that would have maybe it's better you didn't win. Maybe you're gonna look
Yeah,
back
yeah,
because with what you might accomplish, and again, we'll talk about the future in a second, but with what might be laying ahead, might have been one of those shames that you never got to realize your full potential and actually see it from what we're seeing now in training. But anyways, I don't want to derail your story, but that's just my first thought when I heard you say that. I'm like, fuck. I
no,
know you
exactly,
wanted
yeah,
to win, but it's like
yeah,
second place at an event like Sheffield is amazing. And what if you did retire? That's I mean, to be selfish, I'd be like, I wouldn't want you to retire. but I mean,
yeah.
but yeah, so frig. Anyways, so yeah, so
No,
by the
yeah,
end of the trip, you're digesting what happened. You had time to actually travel non-powerlifting related events like Disneyland, gaming, museums. You're actually living a normal life. This is Kaiko normal life, as opposed to traveling for powerlifting and all the rest of it.
right.
Um, so where you at with that when you're done all this traveling with your loved ones?
Yeah, I mean, it was very refreshing. It kind of it solidified what I was feeling.
Mm,
Like what my priority became them over powerlifting at the time, you know.
mm,
And not just for them, but for myself. I was powerlifting was doing more at the time. I was getting more harm out of powerlifting than I was good for myself, and I had to recognize that. And not just anything. It's like any type of relationship you have with whatever you do or people, of course. It was something I had to recognize. Because for years I could balance it out. Maybe it was a little more good than it was harm, but leading into that Sheffield, it was like despair, because I was just,
mm,
you know, um, so it did solidify that for me. That I was like, okay, yeah, what did I find so enjoyable about powerlifting? And I'll get to that. Um, as we progress through the past year for myself. But yeah, what you were saying, I talk about that a lot, how I'm very happy that I got second because it gave me reason to not retire, and no, and it's been fun, and I don't, I try not to look at things like I don't, I'm not trying to be like overly optimistic for no reason. You like to be realistic about things. But it's like, okay, here's a blessing in disguise. Like here's room here, it gives me an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
No one got better from winning all the time. You know,
A hundred
uh,
percent,
yeah,
100%. You want to grow? Take an L.
yeah,
Take an L, and so you can first off take a step back and reevaluate, etc. You want to never grow? Keep winning. The worst is winning easy.
yeah.
You
That's the
are
worst.
the
Yeah,
that is the worst. You are
yeah,
not going to grow. Take a look at people who win easy often, and how much progress they've done.
yeah,
It's not the same.
yeah. So, coming out of that, well, we got back home from Sheffield. Um, so and right away, I think like 2 days later, actually, yeah, because by the time I got home, it was later in February. We had the Cayco Classic, the very first one.
Mm.
Um, and it was such a good meet. It was a full meet. We had so many people show up. Shout out to my gym, Iron Office, Will and Jazz. They're extremely supportive of me. That's another big thing. I have such a overwhelming support system around me that I never try to take for granted, right? Sometimes you just kind of walk through life, but I always try and stop and be thankful for that. Because it's not something it's a privilege to have something like that. And yeah, they helped me run they ran the meet, we put it together, and it did fantastic. There's so many people that I got to hang out with. Um, I even did a little like a thank you speech thingy.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's funny because my for me like public speaking, it's always never been a forte of mine, but it was fun. It was good to like connect with the people there, and piggybacking off that, it made me realize, like I was saying, like what is it in powerlifting that I really enjoy? Because I had time to step back, and I had to be like, okay, what is it that I'm a part of in this sport that brings me joy for myself? And I realized, I love competing. That's like the selfish part of it. And I think, like you're in a sport where you compete, so okay, that's just kind of a given. But I realized what gave me the most fulfillment, joy, and just purpose, even was spending time with the community. And so the, of course, Sheffield, we had the post, the meet and greet, post Sheffield. It's, the one downstairs where we get to meet a lot of people. I had like kind of jumping back to Sheffield, that my booth had so many people. And, and it's such a humbling thing, like the line stretched like crazy far, and I was even like late because I was like one of the last ones to do a drug test, so everyone was
Mhm.
already like at their tables, but I was like one of the later ones, and there were people waiting in line for my table, so that's extremely humbling, you know. Um, but yeah, back to that point, like meeting the community, meeting people, right, is something I found I extremely enjoy. Um, um, so. Yeah, it's been the theme of this year, I say, was a lot of personal growth and connection. A lot of reconnecting and a lot of just it was just a very fulfilling year, very productive, like you mentioned before. But yeah, before I get to that, what was the plan post Sheffield? I was like, okay, I have this window of time that I've always wanted. How do I use it? Right? And is it even going to work? That was the big one. It's like, because you have
Yeah,
this
it's
thing,
true.
you
If
know,
you take time off and don't progress, you're like, oh
yeah.
shit, I
He was
just
like,
lost
well,
time.
yeah. He was like, well, shit. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So, okay. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, well, even if I had the world spot, I was like, I'm probably not going to do it. Even, that I was given the NAPF spot. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I don't, like, well, it was the point. Excuse me. And like, so I have this time post Sheffield. Um, so I was like, okay, we're going to hit it hard. I start training, but I don't load a barbell for about 3 months. I didn't go heavy. Close to yeah. I think the only like weighted thing I did was a trap bar, but that was even later. I don't know if you saw those.
Yeah.
But all I did was a lot of body weight things, a lot of corrective things. Like think like very specific rehab for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, I lost about 12 pounds.
Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
yeah.
Did that
That was
rattle you or were you like, frig, this better work? I mean,
no. I was just like, well, I got time. Now's the time to do it.
right.
Cause yeah,
Fair.
yeah. So I was like, I don't need to be strong right now. I just need to be, I just need to be not in pain.
Fair.
Yeah, I think it was the first, yeah, honestly, in the first 10 weeks of that, I was still walking in pain. So let's go, remember I mentioned I had that hip quad-ish hip flexor
Hmm.
pain when I was walking. That didn't subside fully until I want to say like July of this year ish, something like
Holy
that. Yeah.
shit. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, like it went down slowly. But it was still like it was like a 9 out of 10 from November to May, maybe June. Uh, So during the rehab time, it was in pain. But as I lost more weight, it helped subside that. So I ended up,
Hmm.
so I lost purposely, I lost about 12 pounds at my top end. Like I said, I didn't lift heavy. We were getting more steps. We were doing a lot of cardio. I would be doing cardio in the park, outside. I'd be doing it in the gym. Um, that was hard. That was like very hard training. Now I think about it, because it was like think Rocky movies, I suppose, where he's doing a lot of those like body weight stuff. Think like Rocky
Yeah.
4,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
uh I
Yeah.
grew, yeah, I grew a beard, of course.
But
Yeah.
during this time, your social media is blowing up. Were you surprised? Like, did you do an actual plan where you're like, I'm going to change up? Was there something you did differently? Or was it a surprise to you? Like, I didn't do anything differently, just surprisingly enough.
So
It's just,
it's funny. Sorry to cut you off. No, I think
no,
it's
go ahead.
funny. Uh because I had nothing to post. Like, as normal. Like I wasn't lifting. So I was like, what could I was like, I had nothing to post. So I was like, okay, whatever. Um So I was just like posting random things, and I got it, especially at the time, and even now, like I got into Spanish music, like namely like Mexican music, like it's like a genre, right? Uh,
Mm,
and I just started playing it because it was just good music to me. I was just like, because like growing up, I would listen to it so like Spanish music sometimes, but I had never listened to like like nowadays. So it's funny how I think that kind of for some reason that got very popular. It just kind of hit a note, and I was told I was very popular in Mexico. You know,
really?
yeah,
You guys
yeah.
got big in Mexico.
Like even before, I was because I just posted. I was just like, I like this song. Here's a random picture. I'm just gonna put it. I'm just gonna post just so I'm posting something random. But I was gonna post this because I like this. I like the song. That's literally all I was doing. And I was like, and some of even the reels I would post like with some like like lifting clips with the music. I was just like, oh, that looks cool. I'm just gonna post it. Like I'm not even gonna I wasn't even putting captions because I just thought it like looked cool.
You weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
was
some
just
of the clips were literally, the clips were fire, by the way, but some of the clips were like, you'd look over your shoulder about to go out. Like they look cool, like from an action movie, the way it's
right,
shot,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't even necessarily a full lift. It could be a 5 second you about to go out. And
Yeah, yeah.
it looks fire. It worked though. No caption, just that. You even had eventually, once it really like we're talking 100,000, 200,000 likes, let alone like views is going crazy.
Yeah,
It
they
got
went
to the
like
point where you
millions.
just it was crazy. It got to the point where you just post a picture of you on a on some steps and you got like 10K. And it's like, but you're not like at an event or whatever. It's just you were killing it without
Yeah.
trying to kill it.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. That
Yeah, yeah.
watch everybody now is gonna be like, okay, well, Mexican music it is.
No,
But
I was just vibing to it because so the way that came about is funny because like Nina was boxing at our gym,
I've
and
seen
they're
that too.
yeah, yeah, Nina got into boxing and she's been boxing, um, and she loves it. I'm fully supportive. And she was like, she's like, well, I was like, if you want to fight, go ahead. Like, if you actually want to do like an
It's
amateur fight, go for it. She's
crazy.
like I'll support her, yeah, like,
Yeah.
'cause she loves it. She's like, it's, if the thing is, people have to find the sport or activity that you just naturally enjoy, and that's one that she really, really, I could tell she like very, very connected with. But yeah, it's like that's the music they'd play when she's training in there, and she was like, "Damn, these these are good. This is like this is bops, bro."
Mm.
And she just went up to me. She was like, "Hey, listen to this," and I was like, "Damn, this is good. What the fuck?" And that's it. That was it. That's all. I just like kind of jumped into the rabbit hole of that, and it just happened to be a hit. And like I understand I understand Spanish a little bit, and like so I enjoyed it for the storytelling and the lyrics for what it is. So that was fun too because like the clips I would post, like I would post them, like I would post it like I would do the caption because the lyrics were kind of like being my caption anyways. Um,
Right.
so it was fun. It was just like it was just fun for me. Um, so that was interesting. I wasn't expecting that, and like yeah, like one
Isn't
past
it?
like yeah,
Sorry.
what was that?
I was
No,
just
go
gonna.
ahead, go ahead.
Isn't it crazy? First off, boxing is huge in Mexico,
Oh yeah, oh
in
my God.
so deep in Mexican culture. People don't understand boxing in Mexico is like hand in hand. You just that year, your girl just Nita just started becoming. That's why you got embraced by the Mexican community. It's just oh,
Yeah,
it just started happening.
we'll get to that because like earlier this year we went to Mexico, but I'll get there. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
just trying
okay.
to make sure we're going kind of. So as I'm talking, I'm like going through like the months as
Yeah, yeah. Take your
yeah,
time. Take your time.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it was fun, because like my gym owner, he'd be like, "Hey, you listen to this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you know about this?"
What
So,
you know about this?
yeah, yeah, no, it was fun, So, um, so it was good. It was everyone enjoyed it. That was the thing. Everyone had fun with it, and
Mm.
I'm still listening to it. It's still what I train to now. Like,
This is
it's
your
what I've
new
been
music.
yeah, it's what I've been training to for like the past 6 months now or so. And I mean, even before I had a little bit, but it was like 10, like 5 or 10% of my playlist. But now it's like 80% of my playlist.
My
So
gosh.
yeah, it definitely like shifted my playlist. So it was fun. That was also fun for me, right? Um, so yeah, back didn't lift heavy, dropped 12 pounds. I was very weak. So I remember when I finally got back onto a barbell. Um, so I was about, like I think I was still about 12 pounds down, but by the time I put like actual weight on a bar, and I remember benching, and I I was like, funny one, I hadn't done like a single or anything in like 12 weeks at least, and I remember I loaded like 375 on bench pounds, right? And I was like, oh my God, like I could do this for like one rep. I was like, yeah,
Really?
yeah. I was like, this is kind of heavy.
You were like, Joey, I think I might have to retire.
I was like,
I think we're done. I'm here. I think
yeah.
I should have laid my belt down in Sheffield.
There,
Holy
there,
moly.
there's some videos when I first started back up. I think it was my first the heaviest bench I had taken in 3 months, and it was 200 kilos, 441 pounds, and that was like, that was like that was terrible. It was just like down, and it was just like pain. It was all slow.
When this was happening, were you thinking to yourself, you don't know, I want to come back, but I don't know if I can. Like, holy smokes. Are you like um trying to temper your expectations? Are you telling yourself, all right, shit, maybe just being healthy is the plan? Maybe just seeing what happens to plan? Or are you at that point telling yourself, don't worry, it'll all come back and we're going to come back stronger than ever? Like, where's your mind at that point in time?
it definitely goes back and forth, right? And but
Mm,
for the most part, they're definitely it's good to keep perspective. As I always say that. You always, especially if you have a plan, and
mhm.
I had to keep reminding myself where I was in the plan. I was in the middle, and
Right.
no matter what, you're like, well, I hope this works because
Yeah.
it's everything on paper says it's probably going to work, hopefully, right? But maybe not, you know, because even with like
Mhm.
operations, they're like, hey, this should be fine, but just in case, like, I need
Yeah.
you to sign this. I need,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Well, I am signing a waiver,
you
but
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, it definitely varied, but for the most part, I just had to kind of trust my own process of that, and I was like, okay, like I'm down weight. I haven't been lifting to be strong. I've been literally like running miles every day, and you know, there's no reason I should be strong right now. I was like, I
Mm.
don't need to be strong right now. All I need, like I said, all I have to do right now is get out of pain. And yeah, and so that's what I did. Um, we spent because oh my, I've injured everything. It's funny, like when we name it off, it was left ankle, both knees, both hips, both shoulders. You know, and it was mainly the right knee. Well, left knee too. I wonder which one. No, honestly, left knee was worse than my right knee. Right knee was still pretty bad though. Right hip so many times, right shoulder a billion times.
God.
Um, you know, and so all the years, like even when I was walking, I couldn't even like walk straight. I had to like relearn how to walk once I got out of pain. Like I was,
God, man.
because like my steps were like everywhere, and if I stepped like 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 properly, I got it would hurt, and it would like
Uh,
things would hurt, things would start aching, things would start hurting. Um,
so if someone was walking, if you were walking in the snow and someone saw your tracks, you're like, was this guy fucking dancing on his way home?
Yeah,
Like, what the hell is
it was pretty bad. It was weird. Yeah, it was weird. So I was like, okay, for me to even like move properly, I gotta get out of pain. I
it?
have to get out of the restrictions. And what's gonna help that? I don't need to be strong. Let me lose weight. I have to lose weight. Um, so that was the plan. And I was like, that's like, and I remember when I first was, I had the idea of it, I had the plan of it, and I was like, that's at least like 3 or 4 months. See, I was like, and I would always tell Nina, I'm like, imagine I had to do worlds, I'd be I'd be dead,
Be
you
done.
know?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it wouldn't work.
yeah. And so I was very very grateful. Even I remember Nina and I were walking once in the park, and it was around the time Worlds was like happening, and I was still like working on some stuff. Just like, hey, how's this? How does this look like when I'm. And we were just saying like, oh my God, like we're so happy that we don't have to travel right now. Yeah. And yeah, it was just a very productive year in that sense, physically.
During
Um,
this time, like around worlds, are you paying attention? Are you watching worlds, or are you like,
a little bit,
I don't want to,
like
it's
90%, I really kind of didn't care because I was like, I'm not invested in it right now. So, but I did watch Worlds, like just generally, just because it's fun for me. I do
Mhm,
like watching, like, because I know the majority of people there, so it's fun for me to like watch that regardless.
mhm.
So I did watch, it was fun. Um, but yeah, I was just like, yeah, I wasn't too heavily invested into it.
Like,
So
did it conjure feelings of like, I wish I was there, or were you like
no,
so far deep into your plan, you're like,
no, I was
yeah,
like, oh my God, I'm so happy I'm not there right now.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, the way you tell your now it makes sense.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
it makes when you're like, my friend, I wasn't walking straight. Like by the time worlds rolled around, I was walking properly again. And
yeah,
it wasn't until like a month later I was under a bar. Now it's like, okay, yeah, for sure. You're not watching me like I wish I was there. Like you would be if you would have made one more push, God knows what would happen to your body.
exactly,
It sounds like,
yeah, no, and I'm just very fortunate that didn't happen in these years.
right?
Even like I remember one of my last sessions at the 24 Sheffield, I was with Jesus, and I was squatting. I had like I was warming up, and he was like, "Oh, was that your knee?" because my knee was just never stop popping when I would be squatting, you know? Um, yeah, because a big thing I had to learn I had to relearn how to do a stretch reflex because I could never get down to the bottom of a squat. Like, because before I would kind of just like bring the bar down to me. I'm like, okay, that's depth, and I would kind of like pause it and then like stand back up because I couldn't like
Mm.
sit down properly, if that makes sense. Um, like I couldn't get down like my bar path. It's so funny. You know, when we were trying to fix things, we were watching my bar path just with the bar and a red. You know, we were checking. It was like a sideways S, no matter what I did. It was so bad. We were just, you know, and I was like, huh, like okay, we got to fix that. I was like,
We got some damage to we
yeah,
got yeah, we got some work to do.
yeah,
We're back at ground zero.
yeah. So
Wow, man.
yeah. Um, but yeah, you know, I tried to be I tried to be very conscious of the time I've had this year, and I still do have. Um, you know, the year, and I took on some new hobbies. I read more. I was able to read more books. Um, again, yeah, post Sheffield, Nina and I, we went to like I took Nina to Vegas. We went to our one of my our gym's athletes. He's a professional boxer, so we went to watch his fight there in
Oh, nice.
Vegas. You know, and then like you know, I sat in the crowd with Nina and like my gym, you know, the gym staff, and you know, that's something I didn't have I wouldn't have had time to do, right?
Mm.
And then the next day, Nina and I went to the range. We shot a bunch of guns. Uh, we went on the race. We drove cars, like we drove like supercars. You know, it was a very like activity filled day, very fun day. But you know, it's just like those types of things, just like making that I had time to do now. Uh, especially because you know, especially if you're in pain, you don't want to do stuff like that. Um,
It's the thing. Pain is like a lingering, it's always present.
yeah,
And it robs you of being present.
it robs you of joy. It really
Yeah.
does. Yeah, and yeah, this year is the most time I've spent with Nina, especially, and my family in general. Um, you know, and this is the most time I ever spent with my mom. Oh my God, I've spent so much time with my mom this year, and
Hmm.
it's crazy. You know, and that was like one of my big things. I was like, okay, I have this time. Like now, like I have no like even if it's just sitting down with like coffee, just talking. You know, and I like even like later in the year, I even had time to reconnect with some old friends, like old friends that they from like school, you know, and they always supported me. They would message, you know, like we were still in contact, but we never had time to I never got time to like go out or do something with them, you know, just like go to their house or you know, just spend time with them and reconnect. And that's things I had time to do this year, you know,
Hmm.
and you know that like my friends, they're very um respectful of my, you know, of what I do. So they're like, yeah, you know, like we're friends. Like there was a time we hadn't seen each other in 7 years. Um,
Holy
yeah,
smokes, man.
yeah. And they were just like, yeah, we know your training. We know how you are. We know what you do, you know? Um, so yeah, and so I was able to reconnect. I was even with them last night. You know, I just went to one of their apartments, and we just hung out. You know, we just hung out and they were cooking food and that was it. So you know, it's been nice to kind of do things like that. Kind of a lot of connections, a lot of reconnections, a lot of nurturing of connections is a good way to put it. You know, with people around me, Nina, my family, my mom, of course, like I was saying, and even like old friends of mine, because I've known these guys for like 20 years, you know, and
Hmm.
yeah, because you know, especially like you know when you're in the heat of trying to be the best, there's a lot of you know the sacrifices are going to be missed opportunities to again nurture these types of relationships.
Hmm.
You know, and that's a given, of course, right? But you know, like I said, I had this time on my hands, so why not? These are things I wanted. These are things I you know uh wanted to put my efforts into. Um, so yeah, we're starting to feel better. I start lifting again. Um, And I slowly, I'm loading the bar, like slowly, we're loading back up. Slowly, I'm getting my way back up properly. It's funny,
Mhm.
my friend, I hadn't seen him in about a year. So in this time span, I saw him just like the other week, and he was like, "Hey, like, have you lost weight since the last time I saw you?" And I'm like, "No, like, I'm back up to my normal now. Presently, I'm back up to my normal like training weight, but I've like recomped in those 12 pounds, you know." So it was funny. He was just like, "You look like you lost like 10 pounds." I was like, "Well, I mean, no, yes and no, you know, like,
So your body
uh,
composition, you think, because you
oh, completely, yeah, I'm way more
really,
like lean. Yeah, I'm a lot more lean. But I'm back up to like my normal training weight that I normally am. Um, so yeah. Um, so back on community. Um, like I mentioned, that was a overlaying uh theme, or it's that I wanted in powerlifting. Like what is something besides competing that brought me so much joy in powerlifting? And it was having those connections and of community and meeting people. So the first major thing, like we mentioned a bit ago, was I got invited out to go to Mexico.
mm,
We went to Mexico City for about 4 days. I want to say it was four, maybe 5 days. I can't remember exactly. And the guys from SBD Mexico, they reached out to me, and they were just like, "Hey, do you want to come down?" At first, it wasn't even like a SBD thing. They were just like, "Do you want to just come down and go to this gym and just do like a meet and greet for fun, and then just like come and hang out and train, and then we can go like eat, and then you go home?" I was like, "Sure, screw it, why not?"
of course, yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I was like, "Sure, why not? Screw it." Um, and then it kind of evolved, and it became like a bigger event as time passed. There were some road bumps here and there, but we made it happen. And yeah, shout out to Diego and Larissa. They're very welcoming, accommodating, and it's an experience I won't forget. I got to sit down and like let's have a conversation with them. Um, and I got to meet the community there. That was, oh my God, like I can't even put it into
Tell me
words.
about this. I am so interested in how Mexico was landing there. Was there other lifters there? And what was the meet and greet like over several days? And tell me,
Yeah,
because we don't really see a lot of like Mexican powerlifting culture, not even gym culture, really.
exactly. That was a big thing. So the meet and greet was 2 days. And we had a tequila and train at the end of each day. Actually, the first day we forgot to do it the first day because we were just hanging out training. Everyone was having such a fun time that we completely forgot to do it the first day. But it was crazy. Through the both days, about 120 people showed up, and it was
That's
like
huge.
people were waiting in line for hours. You know,
Wow.
like um because it was at this like little gym, and I was just like in a corner with a table. But we had so many people, and like I was very fortunate because the Diego, the SPD Mexico guy, he was my translator because my Spanish is very basic. Uh, and like like I'm not gonna keep up with it. And 99% of the people who came up, they didn't speak English. So he was my translator. So and oh my God, like like even thinking about that event's gonna make me like kind of emotional. It's just like such a wholesome, fulfilling event for me. From my perspective of the people who came up to me because so the way it worked, I'd stand there. They come up, if they want to chat, maybe ask me a few questions, maybe what lifting or whatever, and then like sign something of theirs, right? You're just your typical like meet and greet style. Think of that. Um, but the things people like came up and asked me and said to me, oh my, like will stick with me forever. Um, man, even saying
Give
this
me a
one is
couple.
gonna, yeah,
Yeah.
even saying this one, I have to like kind of like, oh my God, okay. I think it's funny, like I don't. It's always like this. I don't think I'm very in tune with my emotions, but like I feel just very strongly about these things. And when people reciprocate like good vibe, like just like positive things to me, like I very much appreciate that. You know,
Mm.
and I think that's where that comes from, where I'm like, oh damn, that like hurt, that like hit me, you know? So like one of the guys, he came up, he said, I have nothing to say, I have nothing to ask you, I have nothing to sign. All I ask is you listen to me for just a moment of something I've always wanted to say to you. You know, and I'm just like, oh fuck,
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, I'm just like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
like,
That's holy shit. You got my
I will,
attention.
yeah, I will like sit up straight, and I will listen, right? And he said, first, I just want to say thank you for being a good role model to powerlifting and especially the younger community coming into powerlifting. And two, please never change. I was just like, you know, like, what do you even, how
Yeah.
do you, you know? Yeah. And that was a big one. I mean, the whole day was filled with a lot of things of that vibe, you know, uh that kind of mood, right? You know, people were just like I even had someone come up to me. They came up. And I could it was a guy and a girl. And the girl, at first I thought she was like kind of shy, but she was kind of like reserved.
Mm.
You could tell, you know, she's kind of like withdrawn. Okay.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, you know, I was saying hello and stuff, and she was saying, and the guy's talking for her, and all of a sudden she's like, I just want to say, she's like, oh, like she just wants, she's wanting to say thank you. She's like, yeah, like thank you, like I really look up to you. You helped me through a dark place just with you know, just with the way you carry yourself, your messages, and you know, and it really, you know, I've been depressed, and you really helped me through that, and you know, just like. Because I could tell she was, and I just got over, I've been getting over it recently. I could tell she was still, like I was saying, and she was just, like, I'm just very thankful and grateful you're here, and I could actually say that to you, you know, and I'm, you know, and like, that's like, what, again, like, holy fuck, right? Um,
Mm.
so, you know, I'm happy that, again, like, uh, things like that's, like, reciprocated. You know, like I said, just, people,
Were you totally
like,
caught off guard by this? Or are you just like,
oh my God, yeah, I thought I was just gonna be like, oh yeah, what's up?
yeah.
But people were very uh, emotionally available when they came to speak with me. That's a good way to say it. The majority was like there was a lot
Well,
of like, no,
I can
good.
tell you, sorry to interrupt. I just want to say, like, I could see you've been on the podcast many times. It's some of the most impactful podcasts. I'll never forget those conversations we had. And you might be the number one that people hit me up and say, like, you've had moments where you were entirely open and you literally took your glasses off and went like this. And we sat there in that moment, silence on a podcast, silence. I didn't go to fill it. I let you, we hang in that moment together. And you opened up so many times about so many things, Jonathan. So for you to like, and because it's me and you talking, and we've known each other for years and we've been doing this for years, you might forget how many people hear this. By the time they reach you in person, for them to open up to you, you would be a guy they feel comfortable opening up to because you have done it. Even if you're like, you don't do public speaking as much, you were saying earlier. It's like, but in a way you have. You are so transparent and been so transparent. I am not as shocked that when people got a chance to meet you face to face, they're like, I'm gonna tell this guy.
Yeah.
Fuck it. He does. You know, it maybe I could see where you might not be ready, but I could
Right,
also
right.
see where it could happen. I could see where it can happen.
Yeah. And yeah, that was like again the common theme of the day. And I even had a you know, so people weren't like it was something I wanted to do, but so people weren't bored. I had a notebook. There was this SPD notebook we got from Sheffield of that year.
Mm.
And I saw people using it as like training logs or whatever. It's like a little black notebook. Where is it? I think I have it here actually. Where did I reorganized
Yeah.
my room recently. Oh, oh, there it is. Sorry. So it's this
No
notebook,
worries.
right?
Yeah.
And I passed it around. It's a little dusty. I passed it around during the during the meet and greet for both days. And I had we basically asked, write something you would tell your younger self, and you can leave a message for me and me or me and for me or Nina if you'd like. And this thing is almost full. This thing is like
Dude,
so
you know how
like
good of an idea is? That's an amazing idea. You're gonna
yeah.
keep that's gonna mean so much for
Oh
you
my
for the rest of
yeah.
your life, man.
Yeah. And then I have like I'm like, it's like it's that's ooh ooh this is a receipt in here from Japan. You know, one sec. Yeah, we have like I think it's like 60% full right now. It's like,
God,
you
man.
know, and
Yeah.
so I passed that around. Um, Fortunately, my I can read Spanish like okay, but still I kind of had to like translate some of it. But like this is where people opened up where they couldn't speak it. Um,
Mm.
and oh my God, like again, like you like back on the thing you mentioned, like someone one of the girls basically wrote a whole big almost 2-page essay about like you coming here is such a big deal, because like they're saying like the powerlifting community in Mexico feels very like isolated. Like you said, we don't, we don't see much coming from there in terms
Hmm.
of, in the scope of powerlifting at least. So it was so, we felt she basically said like, you coming here just makes us feel less alienated. And just
Mm.
it was such like it was such a nice celebration where we felt very seen. And
Hmm.
and again I like I was given a table full of gifts. I don't know if you saw the pictures I posted, but it
No,
was
I did, but really, they were showering you with gifts, even.
yeah, it was gifts. This guy, his family, they make hats. He gave me a hat. His family made for me. Um, one of they made like where is you know what? Let me see. I have it on my shelf. Ugh. You see that? Like they made that.
Whoa,
Yeah, wait.
yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah, wait. There you go. Yeah, they made that. It's metal,
Hmm.
Uh, and like they gave me so many things to sign. Like I'm pretty sure I signed like over like 300 pieces because people will bring two, three, four items each. Because I sit around both days for at least like I want to say at least 4 hours at least to get through everyone. And that's again that's when I like I was saying that's when I realized for me I was so I brought it brought me so much joy. I use that word a lot. It brought me so much joy and fulfillment to meet people. Um, because like because the guys helping run it, they're like, oh, do you need to take a break? Do you want like an energy drink? Do you want to sit down? Because I was standing pretty much the whole time. Because I still had to train, but, and I was
Hmm.
like, no, no, no. I was like, no, 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 no. Like I want to like we have to do this. I have to do this right. And sometimes someone would want to take a extra picture or like maybe between some stuff and they're like, oh no, no, we have to do this. I'm like, no, no, like take the picture. I don't care.
Hmm.
Like yeah, uh, and that stems. And I always thought about this. Um, I once met back in the day. This was maybe like 7, 8 years ago. I once met someone that I really looked up to. I'm not going to name names. And they were a big inspiration to me at the time when I was younger, right? And when I met them in person, it was a textbook never meet your hero moment.
Brett Gibbs.
No, it was I've actually never met Brett Gibbs. I hope he's doing
Okay.
well. And but when I went to talk to them, they basically like brushed me off. They're like, "Hold on, I'm doing something." And they're like, "Okay,"
Break.
and they just left, you know?
Break.
And I've never
And you'll
forgotten.
never forget that.
I'll never forget that, right?
Yeah.
Even if they remember that, right?
Hmm.
Uh, um or if they don't remember it, right? So for me, I was like, I never want to make someone feel like that,
Mm,
especially if I'm ever in a position to be, be that guy that people look up to, or, whatever it is. So, like, I was very like, I don't care how tired I am, I will rest after this. Like once I'm done with this
mm.
trip. In those 4 days, I slept like 3 hours a night because we were just so busybody doing stuff every day. Yeah, I
Was
was
it
running.
difficult to sleep even afterwards?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, because we
Like
were
that
so
kind
it
of a
was. Yeah,
yeah. You just so you lay in your bed and you're like it. I'm that kind of guy too. I have a difficult time sleeping. Period. But when the stimulation and things impact me, very difficult for me to shut it down. And
right. And like reset. Okay, like
yeah.
let me go back to like rest mode and
Hmm.
like we're gonna we'll pick it back up tomorrow. Yeah, no, I understand that a lot. That's why I didn't that's why I didn't sleep a lot because I was and I would be talking about like oh my these people uh you know and man that honestly was my favorite trip of the year overall. The in terms of like for personal things, you know. All my trips were great this year. I did a lot. I did a lot this year, surprisingly. I didn't think I'd
Same.
be traveling. I didn't think I'd be traveling post Sheffield. That was something that kind of came out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, we got the train together. Uh, man, people were like they would people would hug me like crying.
Really?
Like
Greg.
like Like you can't even I don't even know how to like put that into words properly, but it was it's such a thing. It's so nice for me to know that I can have like a good impact on someone's life. Um, I always say this. You can't share something you don't have. And this was a big thing a big again theme I guess for the year for me. You can't share something you don't have. So if you want to bring happiness, if you want to share happiness with someone, you have to find happiness for yourself first.
Mm,
I think a lot of people don't really think about that. The people, of course, people talk about all the time. Oh yeah, I want my parents to be happy. I want my partner to be happy. I want my kids to be happy. But then they're not happy, you know? Uh,
mm,
and of course, like what if you're not happy, what like there's nothing you can give. You can't give that to someone if you don't have it yourself, right?
mm,
Um, so that was a big theme for me this year is just finding now I had time and I can really find that happiness within myself. Even not to say I wasn't happy before, but have more of a clarity, a better vision of it, a better hold of it, rather. Um, and so I can I can give that to people around me. Because why not? Why not? Why live life fucking depressed and no one wants to be sad, unless like
mhm.
uh So it's important to look within. Look within. I can get very apparently I can get very philosophical with that. And I'll get on to that once when in the Malaysia trip after next.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
that's
get
another
there.
one I with
It's
the
another one.
lady and yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I can get very philosophical apparently. But it's you have to look within. You have to be very conscious of yourself. If you do want to share the happiness, you need it for you. You need some happiness to share. And
Hmm.
on that again on that same thing, on that same note, you will share what you have. And if you walk with misery, you will share misery. You know, even if you don't mean to,
That's right.
even if you don't mean to, you will. Yeah. And I think it's very important to no, it's perfect. We all have our moments. All things happen. But it's about I truly believe this, and I've almost confirmed it for myself because before I would compete, train, and I think it stemmed because I was in so much pain anyways, just generally. I would train with so much like anger and rage fueled training, right? And something I came across, some like sayings I've was I suppose like taught in the past few years. I've had some good conversations with smart people and a lot of wise people. I've had the opportunity to speak with them. Like I said, I've had time to read more books. I've had more time to kind of expand my knowledge, I suppose, right? But I something that was confirmed for me this year, in almost in a sense, is that we operate our best when we are happy, right? And I think that's true. Like you look at the best boxers in the world. They love it. That's their like paradise, being in the ring. It's like, yeah, some people are like, oh, you can like getting hits for a living is crazy, but to them that's their dance. That's the only place they can dance freely. That's the only place they can move freely. Basketball players, they love it. That's the only place they can express themselves. We've spoken about that freely. I think it's important for people to find that. So, so on that note, for them to dance freely, they might be physically getting hurt or whatever, but that's where they find their joy. They're doing it and they're very happy doing what they're doing. The best in the world in anything ever, the greatest men and women that have ever done things in their fields have been very happy doing what they do. They say, "Oh, he died love. He died doing what he loved to do." That's a saying, right? And um, I've been able to shift my approach almost because I had time to where my training is much more happy. Like in I'm not like harboring hate or I'm not full of anger or rage. I've been able to kind of like let it go and just train being happy. Because it's not just about being like, oh yeah, I'm happy, I'm grateful, yeah, of course, but like just being happy. Like if you can operate generally if you can operate well, uh, you know, then that's it. That's the answer. That's the answer to doing great things. Is to finding the happiness. And because finding happiness, again, I don't want to get too deep. I don't want to jump into
I
that
love
rabbit
this,
hole.
by the way.
Yeah,
I love this
yeah,
conversation. Go talk. So go
yeah.
ahead.
Uh it's so important. I think a lot of people don't talk about it. But we know these things. That's the thing. We know these things about like we know the best in the world. He loves what he does. He loves it. But that's what brings that's a source of rather a resource of happiness for him. That's because you can only be happy from within. That's just something. It's really something you just choose. Are you happy or are you not? Why and why not? hmm And
Mm.
I think we operate our best when we're happy. Like if you like look at again, we'll use a boxer as an example. If they're those boxers who are always in despair and misery, they're not gonna you don't last long, you know? And it's just it hurts them and everyone around them. And it's not something that's sustainable. And it goes against human nature, you know?
Mm.
And I think it's important to kind of be conscious of like, are you like really ask yourself, are you happy? Because it's a really important question that I think is not asked a lot. Um, so, but yeah, I don't want to go hyper deep and trail off into that.
Let me say
Um,
one thing before you move on. Very impactful you said was you need to be cognizant of the fact the way you feel is going to impact the people around you. So if you're always sad or miserable, think about how do you think that affects your significant other? How do you think that affects your friends, your family? Yes, you will impact them. Yes, you are. Yes, it's not just you. You are sharing a life and they're sharing a life with you. And you have to start making tough choices or be strong enough to be self reflective and be like, Did I wake up today miserable or did I let something off track me? Where has my mind been? Am I obsessive compulsively thinking about negative things and it's got me in a certain mood, certain whatever? If you're always anxious, would that anxiety start rubbing off on other people? If you're, oh, yes, of course. If someone's always frantic, eventually the other person's going to start feeling this. It's just the way it is. Flip side, if you're happy, if you're content, if when someone sees you, you are genuinely smiling and in a good place, yes, it feels like warmth. And yes, your significant other, your friends, your family, your loved ones, it makes it easier for them. And you're right. I don't think sometimes people even totally understand the impact you have with everyone around you. And if you take responsibility for it, not just for yourself, but for other people as well, if you actually, it'll make you stop having pity parties. It'd be you were impacting people around you. Stop doing this. You, how about that? Think about it. That's if for no other reason, if you can't dig out for yourself, think about other people genuinely, not putting on a front or a facade. You have to seriously start thinking about this. And you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah, and on that, another good example, what really fast on that, is look at some people and their pets, like their dogs. Look at how their dogs are. Like it's something I always kind of observe. Like if
I was
if that
about to
person,
say that and
yeah,
I
yeah,
stopped. And
yeah,
it's funny you just said that. It's
yeah,
true.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. I'll snowball
yeah.
off it.
If that person is anxious, that dog is probably anxious. If that
Yes.
person is always stressed, that dog is probably always stressed.
Hmm.
And it's always, and it really is. I think that's a great one for, I think that's a very easy one to see. Oh, why is my dog always so, oh, why is my dog always so anxious? Well, how are you?
Hmm.
The dog looks to you. The dog cares about you. Not, and I think that's a very easy one for people to kind of see. And it makes me happy. For example, like we just had this conversation with some of my relatives. They're like, "Oh, Bear looks so happy." My dog. He looks so
Hmm.
like just relaxed and happy. I'm like, well, yeah, because I don't like, I try to, yeah, like,
Or
you
they're
know,
like earlier in the year, like, what's wrong with Bear's hips for fuck's sake? Holy shit.
yeah, I try to,
Yeah.
and you see that, and we know dogs are very, they're very perceptive. We know that,
Hmm.
so it's even more important. You can't hide it from the dogs. You can't, you can't, like if you're stressed, like you can hide that from like your significant other, maybe you're not hiding that from your dog. You know, um,
Isn't that funny? It's true.
yeah.
Like your significant other leaves the room and your dog's like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on with you, man?" He waits. He's like, hang on a second. He waits for the door to close.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? Talk to me. it's,
Yeah.
it's true though.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't
You
lie
know?
to your dog.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear it.
So yeah, I mean, it was such a great trip back on the Mexico thing. And like I said, everyone was so emotionally available in that trip. I met so many wonderful people, and for another one, this kid, I think he said he was 17. He came by himself. It was his birthday. And he said, I walked across the city and I just wanted to spend my birthday with you.
It's wild.
He said like two sentences the whole day to me. That's all he said. And I was watching him.
Great.
I was just like having him watch him deadlift and stuff. Uh, so it
There's
was
pockets of these people all over the world, by the way, Jonathan. There's pockets of these people,
yeah,
like you were just in Mexico. Think of how many different nations will have hundreds of people that would show up to see you. It really does open your eyes, doesn't it? To be
yeah,
like, holy smokes. And not to jump ahead on your timeline, but when you come back, in terms of motivation, in terms of like, you know, yeah, I'm not just lifting for myself. Like people take something, it does mean something. Yes, it does. People do draw strength from this. When people try to say, like, well, it's just sports, are you kidding me? All throughout our history, sports have given us inspiration f- for everything in life.
right,
Like sports are a metaphor for life.
yeah,
You're supposed to see in a 90-minute to 3-hour game, you see the trials and triumphs and all of it, and then the dramatic conclusion. That's what it is. and it's telling that story in a 3 hour period for us or
Right.
over a series. We know this. We know this, and as humans, we draw from it. Some inspirational figures of all time are the sports icons,
Yeah.
from Jordan to Muhammad Ali to whatever.
Yeah.
So don't tell me, when people try to like it's just
Downplay it.
powerlifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like whatever. You're just that guy.
Yeah, man. Like,
When people talk like that,
yeah.
it's like sure, whatever, bud. You're uninspirational, uninspiring. People don't look to you like that, so you try to
Yeah.
whatever. But I seen it for sure with you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And on that same topic, imagine, I bet you even back in the day, it's like, oh, it's just boxing.
hundred
It's
percent.
just it's just, oh, yeah, it's
Everything's
just,
just
yeah.
something. Everything's just
Yeah.
what's the big deal? It's like sure,
Yeah. Until it isn't.
okay,
Until it isn't, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Two people can look at a painting, and one guy can be completely uninspired, and someone else could hit him exactly where they need to
Yeah.
be hit, or look at a picture or whatever it is, a song. That's fine. And some people are always like that.
Yeah. A good,
Anyways,
yeah, on that, a good saying I've heard is one planet in 8 billion different worlds, you know? And though
yeah.
we have our, we all have our similarities where we can connect, but everyone has their own painting they see, in that sense.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's something to always consider, but I think generally, I'd like to be hopeful that the majority of the people on the planet want to be happy. I think that's just human nature, you know?
Hmm.
And, um, but yeah, like I actually grabbed this right now. I got this necklace while I was in Mexico. Um, this one. I've been wearing it in training.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah, you have been wearing it to
yeah,
training.
and it just reminds me of just like when I see it, it like literally brings me back, and it reminds me of all the people I met. Like it was there. I can't even put it into words. Everyone was so welcoming. They were so sweet. Like we had time to go around. We walked around the city together. I got to spend time with people. Um, there was just not enough time in those days to accommodate everyone because and I want to go. I always look at this. I'm like, man, I want to go back. I want to go back. And man, yeah, I'm just thinking. You got me thinking of everyone I met there. It's just like I said, people were crying. Yeah, it was such a good event, and
You got like a lot of video and
there was a little bit. Yeah, I posted a little bit of it. Just like pictures of the group, some of the groups that were still around when we did the pictures, like at the end of the day. Um, yeah,
if
I,
you
I
go
th
back, if you go back, grab a videographer just for that two
well, we
weeks.
did have a videographer.
Okay,
He
good.
got yeah, he got some. We got some. Yeah, yeah, like of
Like,
the
yeah. Because those memories and those moments, man.
yeah, yeah, and that was like yeah, man, that was something. That's those are the types of experiences that you remember for a lifetime. Um,
Hmm.
that's thanks to that the community for what they gave me. I was the one like it was a meet and greet for me, but it was about them. From I was given everything and going there.
Yeah. Isn't it funny
All
how that
yeah,
works?
I
You're
just
supposed to be there for them and you feel like you're re-energized after.
right.
You're like, holy shit.
No, yeah, and yeah, and I could talk about that trip all day, but we got to walk around the city. I went to the big cathedral and the main plaza. They were getting ready for the Independence Day during that time. And the food was crazy. Oh my God, the food.
I
The-
love Mexican
you
food.
know, and it was just such a good experience. And so we had one more trip. I'll kind of move forward now. Uh, so the next trip we had, it was only 4 weeks after that, about four, maybe five. I found myself in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I believe it's the capital of Malaysia, right? And it's funny, I'm kind of a history buff, and my weakest history is like Southeast Asia, funny enough. And so when we were in Kuala Lumpur, I had the time to go to a museum there, and that was fun. But so yeah, SBD Malaysia and SBD Singapore and Asia Strength Yard, they hit me up hit me and Delaney up. They're like, "Hey, do you want to come out?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything." Like, yeah, this is exactly sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Um, that was actually a fair amount of traveling. I think it was about 20 hours to get there. Uh, just about something like that. And yeah, that was my first time in Asia. So that was very, very interesting. Um, so same vibes with that. So in Malaysia, shout out to Atika and everyone involved. They welcomed us with open arms. We did a meet and greet and a slash seminar while we were there. Um, and we got to go around the city. And I think the big another oh, I'd say one of the bigger ones for me there was getting to spend time with Delaney. That was very interesting because and Delaney and I had plenty of conversations about this. And we were just saying like, me and him, we only see each other during meets.
Hmm.
Like what's it like? Just not being at a meet and just going out, hanging out with each other. You don't know if you're gonna like someone or not, right? Even if you are teammates or whatever, right? It's different when you go
Hmm.
hang out. So I found that very interesting, and it was fun. I got to spend a lot of time with Delaney and kind of know him as a person more. Again, for me, that's much more important to be like how good of you as a lifter. I don't care if you're a good lifter. Like, are you like, are you a good and
Yeah.
sensible person? That's where that's where a lot of value lies. And it was fun. It was really good to spend time with Delaney and kind of like actually have one-on-one conversations with him. He's a very good guy. He's a very good guy. He's very sensible. There's a good saying um, that I've heard that there are plenty of good people in the world, but what we need are more sensible people.
What does that
Because
mean? Expand on that. That's interesting.
so um, so someone could be good, like they have good morals, they mean well, but maybe they're not sensible, and they do something stupid, but they had good intentions. They're a good person, but they did
Mm.
something that was not sensible because maybe they're not, like I said, maybe they're not a sense, they don't fully think, right? They might have good intentions, but that's gotten people into trouble a lot of times. People get killed over
Mm.
stuff like that, you know? Like, oh, I meant well. Like, why are you doing this? I meant well. I meant well, you know?
And you could be
And
hurting, or just like, straight up, just simply, you could be hurting people around you with the best of intentions.
exactly.
Because you're,
Ex-
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
I
I've
got
heard
you.
him and it's, oh, he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but is he sensible? I don't care. Like, we have plenty of good people. We have plenty of bad people, quote unquote. But like a bad person who's sensible, for example, might be less dangerous than a good person who is not sensible, you
Yeah.
know? And those are things you have to think about. Like, I've met not good people. I have of plenty of people I know who wouldn't be considered good people, but they're sensible, you know, and so then they keep out of trouble,
Hmm.
you know, yeah, um,
I, I think, yeah, without getting into details, I think we've all been in situations where you get hurt by somebody, and it's like, damn it, why didn't you see that coming? Like,
yeah, yeah,
how did you not know this was going to turn out this way? And you pulled me into this? You dragged me into this?
yeah.
Like,
They're like, oh,
God, but they
I thought
didn't
you,
know. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, God, it's okay.
yeah,
You're a good person. We'll get by this, but please, you know,
never do that again. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, please
yeah,
think about this. You're
yeah,
hurting me.
right.
Yeah,
So that
I got you.
yeah, so it's good, and so spending time with Delaney. So the main group was me, Delaney, Etika, and Nina. It was like a group of four of us, and we got to go around the city. We had, I think we did the seminar and the meet and greet there was 2 days as well. But we had like an extra 6 days, 5 days, extra 5 days afterwards to kind of go around the city. And then same thing. I got to meet so many people there that were just so loving and just so, um, they just went, oh yeah, let's go. Hey, come over here. We'll go do this, and it was good. We ate a lot of food. We spent a lot of time with people, a lot of connecting. And the same vibes. People were so happy. to see us and just kind of have conversations with us, especially because we got to go train and stuff, and um, yeah, that trip was great. You know,
What's the
we
powerlifting community and gym culture like in Malaysia?
in what sense? Sorry.
I just, it's hard for me to picture like, are they developed or when I think of some of these Asian nations, some of them are more developed. Like I've talked
Mm.
to people in Japan and it's for sure developing. The Japanese have been in IPF worlds quite a bit. But Malaysia, I don't even know if Malaysia sent a lifter to worlds yet. I know the probably to the
I believe they
Asian
have. Yeah.
championships. Have they? Okay.
I bel
Yeah, you know what? I think they
You know what? I'm not sure. That's a good question.
it certainly they don't have a large presence there. So I'm wondering, like, it's interesting that they obviously have a pocket of powerlifting for you to be brought there for a seminar from the other side of the
Mm.
world, Delaney as well. I just like how in tuned are they to powerlifting? Where would you gauge where they're at in terms of their development? You know,
Definitely, it's definitely
obviously,
there. It's definitely
is it
there.
okay?
Yeah, it's definitely there, and it's really cool, right? It's just cool to see that. We got to go to the like I think we got to hang out with the Singapore team a bit, and I got to talk to them, and that was it's cool. I was just like in their training facility, just sitting around and talking, and you just get to meet people. But
Mhm.
to your question, I would say they're definitely there, and it's cool to see that pretty much no matter where you go, there's pretty much a common rack or someone doing deadlifts or
Yeah.
Yeah. um so like even in Mexico, like like there's like how many people showed up and for powerlifting, so it was good. And
In doing what you're doing is only going to help grow those markets, obviously.
exactly,
Like
no,
when you,
exactly,
yeah,
yeah,
that's why it's
yeah.
huge. It's for the better of the sport that stars like you, Delaney, do this.
And I'm very happy that it's like something positive. People make impacts all the time, but it doesn't mean it's a good impact. And
Sure.
but and I believe doing things like this is always a positive impact. It's just it's a positive for everyone. And yeah, and it's like there's some lifters there that came from Singapore that I only ever saw them at Worlds, but
Mm,
so it was really fun to just kind of have dinner with them, and again just be like, who are you as a person, like away from like, hey, congrats on your meet, or right?
mm.
So it
And,
goes a
and
little good. Sorry.
how was it with Delaney? I've hung out with Delaney at Worlds, but I think my experience was different because I'm commentating, so I don't have to be keyed in and on.
Mhm.
Whereas you guys, like you have to be keyed in and on, obviously, right? And like to your point, like it's different when you go somewhere and the intensity, the pressure, etc. But I've got the chance to hang out with Delaney a bunch of times just in normal social settings. But it's you guys are not only been teammates at several world championships, which is pretty cool. But also you're both with Joey. So you're teammates, you're double E teammates,
Yeah,
if you will. And I think sometimes people on the outside think everyone on the flex team hangs out, but you could be on different time. You are on different sides of the world. He's
yeah.
on the East Coast,
He's
you're
on
on the
the East
West
Coast.
Coast.
Yeah,
Not even close.
yeah.
And when you're at events, everyone gets to hang out, but you may or may not. You got some training sessions, you might be cutting weight, then you finally compete, and then you might have a day or two, maybe someone else flew out. Like it's not you may or may not. But so when you actually had that opportunity, what did you guys talk about? Did you talk about some war stories about, hey, shit, how about this? How about Malta? How about you guys both had an amazing Malta? Or what did you
It's
guys end up talking about?
Yeah, I think it's funny we didn't really talk much powerlifting. The only time we talked well,
Really?
like I mean, we lifted, we trained together, which was really fun actually. It was so
Yeah.
much fun training with Delaney actually. Um, and yeah, we had a lot of conversations just as people. No, away from like
Mm,
I don't even think we talked much about powerlifting. Now that I think about it, we just kind of like just talked about life. Um,
mm.
and it was it was very good, you know, and um I think we were very open with each other too. It was cool. It was cool to kind of hang out and be like that. And
So you guys are both somewhat on the same pathway too.
yeah, yeah, very
Both
similar.
won
Yeah.
Malta, both on the podium together. Because he podium at Sheffield.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, didn't go to this worlds and kind of like regrouping and like you guys are very much you had a lot of similarities, I
Yeah, a
guess.
lot of similarities. So we definitely kind of understood where we were, right? We both used,
Hmm.
you know, we both felt like we had spun our wheels for a while as well. That's a term
Hmm.
he used. And so I actually got this necklace from Malaysia. So I've been wearing this one too.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, I've been wearing this
nice.
one too. So this one, yeah, when I see this one, it reminds me of Malaysia as well. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be wearing these at meets. So and yeah, no, Delaney was great. And I'm kind of like thinking back now about training with him and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of
Hmm.
fun. Yeah, yeah. And man, you know, and you know, one more thing, just shout out. There's a big shout out, honestly, to the people who put these types of events together. Because I just had to, we just had to stand around and look pretty, you know. But there's so much, you know, like preparations and like man hours that go into getting all this all set up, and
Hmm.
they while all the while they're like trying to, you know, they're trying to treat us like kings and like, oh, do you want to do this? You want to, you know? I'm just like, hey, like I know like this is a lot, so like whatever you need me to do, just take me there, you know.
Hmm.
Um, you know, so you know, it's a big shout out to the everyone who can pull this off, you know, and make these types of events happen. Because you cut back how many years ago, like flying a power, you know, like flying someone out for something like this, that's no way, no way. Yeah, what the heck?
You if you want to lose your money,
Yeah,
like you'll get nothing from it. Yeah,
you know,
this is
and
new.
yeah, so it was great. Yeah, especially with I believe the Mexico one I did was the first of its kind. Um, and you know that was fantastic. Both the events were very fulfilling and um uh re-energizing, like you said. It really was because it kept solidifying the wow. I remember being at both events. I was like, wow, I would very much rather be doing this than being at a meet right now. This is so much fun. Like just hanging out
Really?
with,
Okay.
yeah. Because we would hang out and we would do like the seminars and I would be lifting with people. We'd be talking about lifts. I'd be like, okay, you know, maybe you want to look at it this way, you know, just like form and stuff. And it was just a lot of fun. Because some people would be nervous. I was like, hey, it's okay, just like relax. I'm just a dude, you know, just like
Is this the cutest thing in the world when someone's nervous to meet you?
yeah,
You're like,
you
oh my,
know, I'm just like
my man,
I was like,
don't
hey man,
worry.
like we both play we both play video games, right? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, you know, and yeah, it was really nice. And it's funny, I had to learn a real signature because I would just do doctor notes for the longest time. I'll just you know, but I had
Yeah,
to learn
yeah.
like a legible like a signature, you know. So and so that was nice. That was fun, you know. So, but you know, so those two events were great. It was just a lot. It was just a big year of growing for me. A lot. Uh, I had the time to, you know, like I said, we had time to step back. Uh, you know, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything. It was just I had time to kind of, you know, reset those gauges and really just have a productive year. It was my, honestly, this is the favorite year of my life I've ever had. You know, like,
Really? No
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah, it really was by a long shot, you know. Uh, and you know, of course it's fun. You know, of course we want to win, we want to do things, but you know, in terms of just as a person and like fulfillment and you know, all those good things. It was just such a good year for me, and not just me, but everyone around me. Like I said, I spent so much time with my mom this year, and I got to know her like more. You know, like you know, when you're older, you get to meet it's almost important to like kind of meet your parents again as people, especially once you're older, you
You
know?
know, it's funny you say that. When you get older and become the age that they were when they were raising you,
Yeah.
it puts everything into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see them as people, not just entities that should know it all. And you realize you never stop trying to figure it out. You never figure it out. You think when you're younger and you see your parents, they got it all figured out. And
Yeah.
if they fumble the bag here and there, the ball here and there, you're like,
You
what do
don't
you
even know. You don't even notice. Yeah.
and you let them off the hook for so much when you get older because like you're like, what? Of course, like they were. He was just doing his best, like from your dad to your mom to you, whatever. They're working their asses off, and they don't know, and they got their. They also have their own baggage. There are things I found out about my parents I didn't know about until I was like full on middle aged adult male, and I found out things that happened to my parents when they were younger, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, my dude, get out of your freaking like,
Like I've known
forgive
you
them
for
for
like
they've you've known them your whole life, but you never really knew them.
yeah.
But you never really knew them. And you're like, that's why my dad is this way.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
why my mom is this way.
Hmm.
And you're like, it's okay. You couldn't find these words when I need you to find those words. Your background was a whole nother ball game. And now you're like, holy shit, it's okay.
Yeah.
Considering where you came from and knowing your full story now, it's like you can forgive everything. As a matter of fact, hats off. You literally finally see them as complete humans as opposed to just almost little governing bodies within the
Right.
household. It's like, no,
Right.
no, 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 no. They are a full-on human who have a backstory you have no you don't even know about until you find out later in life. And then you're like, whew, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
It's true. It
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
You re-meet your parents later.
Yeah. And I think it's and one a lot. I know a lot of people would never get that opportunity.
That's also
And
true.
yeah, and or they don't realize the opportunities there. That's another thing about being conscious about things, right? And until it's too late, you're like, oh, I wish I knew. You hear that all the time. I wish I knew my mom better. I wish I knew my dad better. And they only have stories that other people could tell them. But
Mm.
when they're around, try and make use of that time, to get to know them. I even gave my mom like a book. I bought her a book for Mother's Day. It's like one of those like it's like it's like a questions like oh, do you remember like a memory of when you were like a teenager or stuff like that. And my mom was saying how nice it is that something like that just like that exists. Um it's like those notebooks you fill in. It's like a bunch of pages of like fill in stuff like about your life. And she was saying like how nice it is to have something like that because she doesn't even like what was your mom's best friend's name, stuff, random things from
Mm.
the past. And she was saying like, oh, like I wish I knew this about my mom, like my grandma that had passed away in 2020. And it is it's nice, and we know times are ever moving, and we know things come to pass, as all things. So it's always good to have that those memories kind of preserved in a sense, you know. So yeah, that's really important, I feel like. And on that same note, I feel like even Nina she was able to visit her family a lot this year. Because Nina's like immediate family lives across the country, and the same thing. She reopened that relationship with her mom especially, like really well this year, and and like that's what I'm saying. Like she tells me like I was a big help, a big kind of almost like inspiration or guidance to do that. And all of a sudden now they're on like good terms, and it's important. Um, so and it all comes back to just being happy, right? And then now I can operate from a place of good, or a place of sensibility and a sense of good, right? And yeah, that's I've again like back kind of on the note. I've just had such a good year. I got the getting second at Sheffield was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me in the sense of just growing as a person. And like I found I remember talking to my friend and I was like, man, I'm like almost thankful that I lost because it's just like imagine I had won. Let's go to an alternate timeline where I won. Who knows? Would I have taken time to get healthy? Would I be living
Mm.
in pain still? You know? Um, you never know. If I had won, would I have done worlds? And would I have gone, would I have been more hurt, whatever.
Or would
All
you have
these
closed the book on powerlifting and not done these experiences that became life changing for you?
exactly. Like if I had closed the
Did you
book,
walk away from it?
yeah. If we had closed the book, I would have never went to Mexico. I would have never went to Malaysia. And so, at the time, again, you may is make the best of anything as you can, but at the time, it's just like you never know what you never know what you see as setbacks can be the best thing that ever happened to you. And yeah, I've just had such a wonderful year. Like I got to take Nina. I took Nina around the world. Me and Nina went around the world together. Oh my goodness, And I would have never thought. I would have never thought of out traveling and in Paris. I like with my like I went in Paris with my mom and my sister, and I'm like, oh mom, do you want this bag from like do you want this bag from like Dior? Like
Mm.
just absolutely insane, to even like say out loud that I have these opportunities to do things like that. Um, it was Valentine's Day. I remember it was Valentine's Day. Kind of jumping everywhere now, but it was Valentine's Day during Paris when I was walking around with Nina, and it's just like it's Valentine's Day. I'm with like the love of my life in Paris. Like I don't have to, like that's
Life
it.
is
Like
good.
what the fuck? Like
Yeah.
what the hell? Like what
Yeah.
is this?
This is second place. Not
Yeah,
bad.
not bad,
Not
not
bad.
bad, not bad. I can't be mad.
Yeah.
Um, so again, I was uh very thankful. So moving ahead to what's to come, nationals in 13 weeks from now, that's exciting. You know, um,
Well, wait, that like just okay, right before we get there, the
right.
second half, I noticed the weight started getting heavier,
Oh, right.
heavier.
Mm.
Well, yeah, we'll get to nationals for sure.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah, we'll talk about lifting.
yeah, all
Right.
of a sudden, my
That
dude,
stuff.
things got exciting. Things are getting wild. You did 920 in the gym, and like you've got people talking, legitimately talking. Could you be the heaviest 10 times body weight we've ever seen in powerlifting? Talk about no one ever forgets these type of milestones. And previously, it's just talk. And now after 920 and everything, it's like everything's on the table now. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but
Right.
the future looks amazing. But yeah, when did things start ramping up for you? Where you're so right at Malaysia, you're not probably not too far into getting deep into the weights, but how did things start ramping up with the weights and the body weights coming back on? And all of a sudden you're like, and now you're re-energized. And now you have your people behind you. Life is good, and you've got a new perspective. And then the weight, now the momentum really, the second half, the momentum was fabulous.
Yeah, I really like once we started, I started like loading the weights up again. Um I remember during the time when I was light, and weights were just like I couldn't lift heavy. I remember I was like, man, I wonder what it's gonna be like the next time I put 660 on my back because that's normally the weight that hurts me.
Mm.
Just it's the one that. And I think I didn't hit 660 until I want to say September, maybe even further. Yeah, November. Yeah, it had to be like November.
Oh
Yeah, yeah,
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. So I hadn't done that. I remember I was like, I haven't taken this since February, so it's been about like 6 months. Um, because I was still like, so yeah, things just started ramping up. I was getting stronger. Like the thing was, I could feel how strong I had gotten. I could feel like a night and day how much stronger I had gotten from like all the time off. Things weren't hurting. I can bend joints without it creaking and like trying to bend back at me. Uh, you know. Uh, Again, I had to relearn to squat so I can actually like squat and sit down versus like trying to pause squat everything that I've been doing for years. Um, I took 695 on a squat and 683 on a squat um recently, like 6 weeks ago, right? And I hadn't had like over 680 690 I haven't had on my back in like 6 years, you know?
It's wild.
And like think about that. Ever since our very first probably podcast together, I that like I was just hurt. I was in pain, and I was like, well, we just do what we can. But it was always my squat that took the biggest hits. Because I remember like back in 2019, like I was hitting 300, 660, just like that was like an every week thing for me. I remember.
Hmm.
Um, and that became like my top end in the last like 4 years. So it was very, you know, in that sense, it was very, that was probably one of the biggest things. It was very hard for me to almost like accept that in a sense of just like I always felt like I was having to play catch up with myself. Like I didn't need to get stronger. I just had to get back to where I was. And you know, in the 4 years where I've been winning. Um, I remember, for example, going 2021, going into Sweden Worlds. My best gym total at the time was like 910. But I came into that meet injured and I hit like 868 or 873 in one or something like that.
Mm.
You know, and like think about that from my point of view. I'm just like, okay, cool, but like it just left so much that I wanted to do. Mm,
Hmm.
you know, and uh, in every meet after that, I mean, like, man, February I did eight. Yeah, that February 2021, I did 892 and a half. February, June nationals, I did 880 and a half, and then that Worlds I did 873. So yeah, and then I came back next year, I did 888, and then 868. And then following year for Sheffield, I did 884. And then Malta, I did 888. See, I was always stuck in this like high 800s, where it was like, I was like, okay, that's nice. But it was like, it was mainly my squat that was tanking things. But speaking of that, I knew my injury was bad. The most recent one, leading into the last Sheffield, was when it started affecting my deadlifts. That's when I was like, because my injuries never really like felt like it affected my deadlifts, but it did.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, to your question, sorry, I trailed off. But to your question about just when things started ramping up, it was cool because I remember the first time I loaded 660. It'd been 6 months. I was like, last time I had this on my back was on my Sheffield on my third attempt, and then I blew it up, and I was like, oh, yay, hey, I haven't felt that in a long time, like, but last time I felt that I wasn't as strong. Does that make sense? Like, last time I did this, I could move, but I wasn't as strong. My
Hmm.
me being stronger kept me together. Now I have both kind of working with each other again. And so yeah. And I pulled 350 a bunch this prep, which was like I only ever pulled that one time before. Um, and then man. Oh, bench exploded. That's funny. Yeah, bench exploded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so both my shoulders were pretty bad. They were pretty bad. And that took a lot of work. That took, and there's still maintenance I have to do, but that took a lot of work to get them like moving without crunching, like this motion without like crunch, 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 crunch. You know?
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
was even at the when I hit 540 and a half at Sheffield this year. Even I remember then, even my left shoulder blade was like kind of like not happy. And then I remember I asked Anatoly for his massage guide.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was like doing it and he was like showing, he was like, oh, do it this way. And I was like, okay. And
Wow.
um yeah, because we were sharing a rack together and I hope he's doing well. And yeah, everyone has pains, but I definitely feel like mine were a lot like I had a lot compiled up through the years, and yeah, like bench blew up. I've hit 550 like 3 times now in training, which is insane. That was like The only other time I ever touched that kind of weight was back in COVID 2020 in my home gym. And I had 4 reds and like a 35 pound uh um a metal plate, like a normal
Mm.
plate. So, to touch like basically touch well, I mean I hit 547. Yeah, yeah. So hitting like 545 and up. Like I've done it like 5 times this prep already, which is absolutely insane to me. Because for example, like leading into Sheffield, I hit, but the Sheffield I hit 540. I hit the heaviest bench I hit that prep was 530 once.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I remember because it was like a little bit out, and I remember I hit it. I was like, okay, cool, 530, nice. I remember I was like, okay, cool, I can make it to the meet. But I mean, this prep I already doubled 530, you know, so that's really interesting. It's really interesting to see how things have like progressed.
Your
You know?
numbers are your numbers are insane. When you hit 920, we've never seen you like this. I don't want to, there's so much time to April. You have so much time to continue to grow and so many blocks. You'll have delos, etc. But when I'm having conversations with people, and we are extremely excited about this, this is, you know, this could have went either which way with you. With the pains and the everything you were dealing with physically, and then when you stepped away initially, when you weren't posting or you're posting much lighter weight, who knows how this ends? We of fellow 93 like Jesse Norris never came back,
Yeah,
young as hell, 20s,
yeah,
never came back. And you never know how these things are going to go. So for the second half of 2024, for you to rally like you have and start posting up the lifts you are, everybody's like, oh, holy smokes, this is it's gonna be crazy when you get back.
yeah,
And of course, you can only anticipate the other 93s are all gonna level up. It's like the 83s.
yeah.
I don't know how much you're paying attention, but the 83s have been leveling up, and I'm assuming that every weight class is kind of with Shell dropping down. The 66s all of a sudden are leveling up. Like everybody's leveling up year after year after year. But you it's early, but you look like you'd be the front runner all over again.
Yeah, that'd be
And
cool.
it's been wild, man. It's quite the comeback. It's quite the I'm sure it's got to be invigorating and exciting for you, especially now that you have the year that you had. What are your expectations moving in this, or is it still a little early? But do you have like numbers? When I say things like, "Holy shit, I think he might be the heaviest 10 times body weight. He might be the first to do it at 93." Is this something that you're entertaining, or are you like, "Hey, look, if it's there, it's there"? But like, I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's there, it's there, but it's something you have to kind of balance. It's like if you hit it, what happens at Sheffield? You know? Like what
Yeah.
that's the hard things about do you have to hit it? Does it just screw you over for Sheffield? You know? Um so that's the balance point of it. That's what's really hard about like choosing. Like if it's there on the day, maybe you just say screw it and you just take it, right?
Like at
Just because.
nationals
Yeah,
when it's
just
not a
because.
world
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, just because, right? But that'd be great. I really I remember it was around Mex when we were in Mexico. I remember I pulled 750 over in Mexico, and I remember I was like, man, like with how training's been, I feel 930 right now coming. Like I feel it. Like you always have an idea of like what your lifts are and like okay, what does that add up to on the top ends? And I was like, I feel like 930 is like realistic right now in the sense of putting things, if we can put the puzzle pieces together. Um, but before I get ahead of myself, the biggest thing I was always reminding myself this year was don't forget how you got back to where you are right now. Don't forget what got you to not being in
Yeah,
pain.
please,
Yeah,
please, for
don't,
God's
yeah,
sake.
yeah. So I'm taking my time. I'm taking my time. Even by the time I get to the meet, I'm sure I'll be, I want to be taking my time. And, because like you put all your eggs in one basket, you might break the basket, you know? And, yeah, so I'm just taking my time with it. And, if it comes, it comes. You never know what happens on the day. That's with any
Mhm.
sport. But I'm very optimistic I can do it one of these days. Even in training, if I like really wanted to push it, but I don't see the point in doing that. I know there's only so many shots you can do of stuff like that in a lifetime. Because when I hit 920, mind you, I hit that 920 in a single week within like 3 days of each other, of singles, and I was like, I was fried. I was like, oh yeah, that's what it's like lifted heavy, like, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, I'm being a lot more meticulous with choosing when to uh, kind of like loading it up real well. Um, Even when I hit the 78 the other day, that like deadlifts weren't feeling that great that day, but I was like, I think I have like 780 still. I can probably just load it up and get a nice deadlift in. Um, so yeah, I mean, just like you're asking, the it worked. I've been waiting all year to
Mm.
say that to you. It worked. The time off, it worked, and it's fun. It's really cool to see it work. Like I said, you never know. It should work, but you never know. But it did, and it was good. It was really cool to see the numbers come. It was cool to see the numbers return, and it was cool for me to surpass because it helped me get over that ridge of just like trying to feeling like again like I spun my wheels and like I was trying to like beat my past self. I think that was something I kind of like got caught up in was trying to like uh oh I have to like get back to where I was. So you never felt like you were progressing, because it's like,
Mm.
oh, I want to like beat my old self versus like, what about right now? Like who cares about that? What about right now? And so there was a lot of things. There was a lot of things I had to unwrap this year, within myself, and it was good. Um, yeah, that was
This is the best I've ever seen you physically, mentally, in the whole nine. How do you feel about as this year comes to a close and you're able to look back? It started. You're injured. You're hurt. You completely were starting a competition, telling yourself, "What I would love to be having dinner," and looking ahead, and for the first time ever, you're like, my God, now I know what it's like to have burnout, the whole nine. You started the year not being able to walk appropriately. You started the year in pain. The way you started the year, and then your journey all the way down, and now we're December 29th of this recording. It's literally the end of the year here. And as you look back, what a world of difference on all levels
yeah,
for you, huh?
yeah, yeah. And it's yeah, I'm just very thankful. Yeah, again, like I couldn't have gone back to this without the support system around me that really actually cares about me, you know, uh, like for my well-being and stuff, and giving me space when I need it, and supporting me when I need it. I'm in such a good place that I'm very happy to be here right now. Like I'm always, I wake up and I'm just like, wow, I choose to be happy today. Today I'm happy. Even if I'm just like kind of tired, I'm like, you know what? Like maybe the day was rough, maybe something happened, but like tomorrow I'll like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good right now. Tomorrow I'll be even better, you know?
Mm.
And, real quick, man, you reminded me of something. On my way to Sheffield this year, I remember I was so out of it. I didn't listen to music for the entire like 11-hour flight. I didn't watch anything. I didn't listen to anything. I was just kind of sitting there.
What?
Yeah.
You went the raw dog challenge.
Yeah, I was just like sitting there, just like
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I
11.
remember. Yeah, I was
That's
just
crazy.
like I kind of started with music. I was like, I just like took my headphones off and I just like, yeah,
And just sat there.
yeah,
Break, dude.
yeah,
You needed this.
yeah,
You,
yeah. I
you
remember
were out
because
of it.
during Sheffield this year, even then I was worried. I was so ready. I was like talking to people. Even when I ran into Gustav in the before the like just in the lobby, I was seeing I was greeting him as like as an old friend, and I'm like, hey, I'll see you later. I'm done. Like that was like the
Oh,
vibe that I was. Like I
Huh.
was, yeah, I was 100% done at that time. That's another thing. I'm trying to never forget how I felt. Those are things. Those are important. Never forget how you felt in times like that, because regardless if you agree with it right now or not, you still felt a certain way.
Hmm.
You know, and that's important to kind of like keep in your scope. It might sound ridiculous now that how you felt about something. Especially if you like got mad at something or whatever. Really, you look back and you're like, maybe you feel shame or whatever about it. But it's important to understand, like, wow, I did have a certain emotion about something at the time, but
Hmm.
why? It's important to understand why. And that's the thing. I remember in all of Sheffield that I was out in the lobby a lot because I just wanted to talk to people because I was just like, man, I'm done. I just want to like hang out and just like talk to like Sonita. I spent a lot of time with Sonita and her husband. I believe they're married now. And I was just talking to them. I was just like, "How's life? Like, what are you doing?" And yeah, I yeah, I was like completely like ready. I was so ready at that time. I remember. Yeah. So
Isn't it funny how life works, man?
yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's been again, it's been such a good year too, and it's been so. This year reminded me that perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. And even if like you can't see it, you gotta find a way to see it. You know? And for me, I needed to take a step back because maybe the window was a little foggy, and I had to take a step back and clean it. And that takes months. That took like 8 months. You know? And I was the thing. I was aware of that for so long, and then like for the past 4 years, that window was always so smudgy. I remember like it was always so like I couldn't see clearly out of it. It was fogged up, and yeah. Yeah, I'm just happy to be doing what I do. I'm just very thankful and happy to do what I do, and that I can get better, and because I'm not getting younger. I turn 33 next year, but all of a sudden I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life because I've done,
Hmm.
and from my late 20s to my early 30s, I was just in pain. And I had people like, "Oh, you're getting old." I'm like, "Bro, shut up," like, like,
100% tell me to shut up.
yeah,
We have people,
yeah,
Megan Scanlon, Duran's 35, massive gains
yeah, yeah,
in their
you
mid
know,
30s.
yeah. You look at athletes nowadays. What's his name? Shoot, the Bivol fight. Uh, you
Yeah, better
know,
be
better be he's 38,
39, I think.
39.
It's crazy. Phenomenal shape. Are you kidding me?
And he gets
Yeah,
punched.
man.
I just put a bar on my back.
Usyk is 38. Usyk just
Yeah,
beat
Tyson
Fury.
Fury. Yeah,
Yeah, and Usyk's 38, 39 too. Stop. These people, they're small-minded people.
yeah,
They don't know. They
yeah,
they have no idea. We're in a different place now. Also,
no,
I was gonna say, so when it being Gustav that won Sheffield and then he wins Worlds, a guy like Gustav who's been chasing this, and I had him on the podcast and he got emotional and he said, this is probably the first year I could actually feel proud about myself. And he heard himself say that. And Gustav is stoic, like you've met him, right? And he's got emotional. And it's like, you know what? Let him, he has his day. Good
yeah,
for him type
yeah,
deal. If it's got to be somebody, you know, he's a good guy too. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
It's
He's a sensible guy too.
He's a
That's the
sensible
thing.
guy.
Yeah. So like, yeah, let him have his day. Let him enjoy it. Like, let him like he deserved it. And I'm happy he was able to like be proud of himself, in that sense. Because that's what's hard about competitions, It's just like someone has to lose, and it's not gonna feel good for them. That's just how
Yeah.
it is when you sign up for it, right? But still, like, but if you do win, if you happen to win, if you do win, try to take time to like be proud of yourself. That's important. That's important, just as important as anything else.
Is
So I'm
that
happy
giving
to
you
hear that. Yeah.
perspective? Like you now with all of these years, one loss, took a step back, seen fellow competitors who have been fighting for years to try to win, finally get that big win at Worlds and like seeing it and being like, are you able now at this mature 33 to watch and be like, good for you, man, good for him?
Yeah.
And
Oh
it,
yeah.
it feels different now. It's like Yeah, yeah. Is it different now that in the position
Uh,
you're in?
Yeah, I mean it's always kind of been there, but again, I have just much more. It's been such an interesting thing being able to step like completely kind of almost disconnect from the powerlifting like competitive side and just kind of
Mm,
watch as just kind of watch from over here. It's like
mhm,
because I can be like, "Oh wow, that was cool." Without being like,
right.
"Oh, blah blah," right? Without being a part of it rather, right? So
So
that
I was
was
wondering, yeah, because
yeah.
these are guys you would compete against, but so you know them, but now you're just watching,
Hmm.
and you could actually, and you have like it's weird because what Gustav felt and what he's gone through, you know, you actually feel it. Like
Hmm.
you can relate to him more than his closest friends and family.
Hmm.
Ironically enough, you would know exactly how it feels. Like the emotion he would felt and the questioning of himself and the whole nine. Like only you guys know that there's a bond there in years to come. Whatever. If you we ever do like other sports, those reunion shows and stuff, it'd be
Yeah,
amazing to have everyone on there, right?
I that reminded me. So I remember back in 21 when I won in Homestead. That's his home country.
Yeah.
And like I saw he was mad. He was like they were saying he was a little red. He was pretty angry. He was like kind of worked up because he missed his deadlift. And I remember I was like, I don't want him to feel like I was not like that. I didn't like care about him in that sense. And once he cooled down, I remember I like went up to him and I just sparked a conversation. And I was like, "Hey, you good?" And we talked about like just random shit. We just talked about like I was like, "Oh, this is a nice barbell, right?" Like just trying to be friendly and um I remember I never wanted him to feel like I had like a like I we like I just like a bad impression in that sense. Um so Yeah, no, I'm really happy for him. That's why even when he won Sheffield, I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, sweet, good for him. I was like, oh, that sucks, but good for him. Yeah, and
Yeah, it's duality is what it is.
yeah, it
Where
is
you could be sad for yourself but happy for someone else.
right.
That's another thing you learn when you get older is duality, where people like, how could you be happy for him when he beat you, or vice versa? How could you feel sad for him when you won? It's like because it's duality, sir. I can win and be super happy for myself. Look and see a guy who just lost in front of all of his friends, his family, in his home nation. It's gotta be gutting. In the Prince of Sweden was there. I don't know if you knew that, but like it's got to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
very difficult. It's got to be terrible.
yeah,
Right down to the last deadlift, and he lost it above the knees. It's like you could feel both. You could be like, "Fuck, dog, I feel bad for you, man," because I know what it's like because I had to train for this myself. But you at the same time feel good for yourself. That's
yeah,
life.
yeah,
That's more real,
yeah,
where some people don't fully get.
yeah. Speaking on that, my friend gave me this on that Sweden. It was a right after that deadlift, um, in Sweden. I remember, such a build up to get to that. I mean, 2 years of a build up for me to
Yeah,
get to that platform and have an opportunity to like do a worlds, because I won 2019 nationals, no worlds in 2020 because of COVID. Had to win nationals again in 21, and then now I was on the platform in Sweden for worlds finally. 2 years building into that, and
mm,
like they had a lot happen. We all had a lot happen. I'm sure, of course, and so when I had won that meet. I remember I ran up to Nina and I just started crying like in her arms. Because Nina's my rock, like 100%. She's like a mountain for me, And my friend made the I don't know if I turn it on, you might be able to see it. Can you see that? Well, that's not gonna work, is it?
wait, I can
Oh
see
no,
it now.
kinda. It's the still
That's
image of Nina.
you and Nina holding each other, right?
Yeah,
She's
yeah, I went
holding you.
out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And my
yeah.
friend had this made for me, and he gave it lights up so you can kind of see it. I don't know if that's
Oh,
gonna work.
nice.
Yeah, but he made it because he was just like, because I remember where all the people around me were just like crying because they know, you know. So yeah, I 100% like understand, when things like that You know, it's not just a sport. It's a sport to you, but it's like well, you know, it could be life to a lot of for a lot of people. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey so far. And
W-
yeah.
with you, I mean, you've had so many fantastic battles. If a new fan finds you now, just recently, in the comeback and the whole nine, and the new fan is like, because I don't even know what battle of yours is my favorite because you've had so many good ones. But the new fan is like, point me to one battle of Jonathan's if I could only watch one to really show him the best, closest, most dramatic win. What battle would that be?
It would either have to be the first Sheffield, probably the first Sheffield, huh? Probably, probably the
Yeah.
first Sheffield. Yeah, probably. Now I think about it, in terms of just like neck and neck, because everything's been always been pretty dang close. But neck and
Dude,
neck, yeah,
you've won by 0.5 kilos at
yeah.
USAPL Nats. You've won by like, I mean, we just talked about the Gustav one. Sheffield, when you came out and obviously the iconic Gavin walks by and you're like you've had some iconic moments.
Hmm.
Um yeah, frick you I don't know. There's been some good ones, man. There's been some good ones.
But you
And
know,
which
yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I can't tell. I could talk myself into a bunch of them.
There's a lot actually. I think about it. Yeah. No, it's probably the 23 Sheffield. I would say in the terms of just like if you had to show like a new lifter, right? Or like a new
Seldom.
fan, I suppose, right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I think you're probably right. There's some of the also because the live stream was so freaking good.
It was
The
good.
cuts
Yeah,
on
it
it
was
was a
good. Yeah.
movie. It
Yeah.
was a freaking movie, man. How about this? What do you think was your finest performance where you'd be like, that one is the one I'm most proud of?
Finest performance or the one I'm most proud of? I think I feel differently about
Ooh,
those.
give me both then. Give me
Both?
that's interesting. That's interesting.
Uh,
Yeah. And tell me maybe
yeah.
why. That's interesting.
Finest, Malta, because that was the most like put together I had felt in a while. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I could probably like do you know I could lift today. I could lift today.
Hmm.
Um, Most proud was this most recent Sheffield. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. Even if I didn't like win, I got my third deadlift up, and all I wanted, damn, even that made me like crack up. All I wanted was to finish on a good note in front of my family.
Mm.
Yeah,
And you
man.
fought through
Also,
some pain for that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God, I was in pain the whole meet, and it was even worse because Nina couldn't. Normally Nina walks up, because the warm-up room is downstairs, and we take a little elevator to go up to the waiting room to go lift. And Nina wasn't with me the whole time. They made her stay downstairs. So I was just like, it was like a she said it was like a puppy lost without, you know. I was just like, you know, and it's just how, you know, I'm just me and Nina are just very we're just that's how our dynamic is. You know, we're very like we're very close. We're very close. And she's always with me when I train. She actually works at the gym now. Uh,
No kidding.
where I train, yeah. So like she's always there with me.
Hmm.
Basically, you know, we go to work together now, and yeah, like we spend all day with each other all the time. So it was really weird. That was the first meet I didn't have her walking me out, I think ever. So that was another hard one because I even like remember I was already in a bad like headspace, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden I don't even have Nina with me. Um, oh, there's a GIF. There's one. We know how they made a bunch of the GIFs of us from the competition.
Yeah.
There's one where I'm just kind of like zoned out because I was literally zoned out. I think I was going out to like my second squad. I don't know what it was, but I was just zoned out. Yeah, man, life's a trip, but it's interesting. Yeah.
Do you think will you always be a 93? You've always been technically, I know you were 90, but in terms of IPF, you were over 83 and under 93. So technically, you've always been a 93.
Mm.
Are you a 93 through? Like you see Shell dropping down, and everyone's super hyped about what Shell might do. You see, we've seen Taylor's moved up. People are shuffling later,
Mm.
and this is later Shell. Well, here's another one for those guys who are like at 33. Are you winding down? Shell's 35 and never looked better, by the way. But and Taylor also 36, whatever, 35.
Wait,
But
I'm 32.
yeah, so you're
I'm
younger.
32.
Yeah, so you have 3 years younger than them, and they're
Yeah.
still killing it at 35, as well as Meg's 35, Jern's 35. So they're older than you, still killing it. So whoever's saying that shit to you, anyways, I'll get off that. But so you see some of them shuffling around weight classes later on. Maybe when you're 35, or I don't know. Have you ever thought about is any of this have you thought about this like either going up or going down or whatever or are you like nah I'm a career 93.
I feel like I'm just career 93. Like I've let myself get heavier and I just feel like shit. I can't even like walk 10 steps, you know? Um,
Mm,
and I've been, and I like food too much to go down to 83, I think. For my natural like size.
mm.
I think I just naturally fill in 93, like easily, you know? I think if I went down to 83, that I would look weird. I like my like my body structure. I'd be like, I don't know.
You'd be
I don't.
jacked as
Yeah, I
fuck.
guess.
Just from vanity. If you
Yeah.
just at one point were like I'm getting diced.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah.
but I would agree like you obviously look at what you've done at 93. There's no like
Yeah.
I can't see why you would unless you
Yeah.
in like 3 years got bored and like, hey man, I don't know, maybe there's a stone left unturned for you. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I've definitely always kept my eye to stay like my most comfortable weight class, 93. So I'm pretty sure. Like, but who knows? Maybe, who knows? Maybe in 3 years we talk and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm like 120. Yeah.
I'm
You know, I'm just like gigantic for my size, you
like, God
know?
damn. I don't know if this is a
Yeah.
tragedy or a triumph. You're like, I'm committing to it. It's gonna go either two ways. So we'll
Yeah.
see in 6 months.
Yeah.
This is a whole other project.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And when you think back, when you look back now, in terms of like with what Gustav's done, is he now your Frazier to your Ali? Does that make sense? Is he now like if someone was to be like, who's the number? If someone's like, you know, when they ask, who did you ever beat that was good? Who did you ever? Who are the names? Who are your rivals? It would be probably be Gustav now with the year he had, where it's like, hey, look
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. He had a
he's
crazy year. So yeah. Yeah. I think you're probably right about that. Just in terms of like, accomplishments, right? Um, yeah.
because I would think you're the most accomplished 93 of all time. With I kicked it off with, um, I mean not I'll say it's you don't have to, but three national titles, two world titles, three-time medalist at Worlds, back-to-back podium finishes at Sheffield. The number one 93 ranked for I forget the spread if it was 2019 to or 2000 or 2020, and then from there on, right up until a blip in 2022, and then regained it obviously 2023 in even more dominating fashion. I mean, I you would probably be the most decorated 93, so you would be the number one. But then it
Yeah.
would be, and when you are that dominant, it's difficult to have other people stand out
Yeah.
because because you are like that. But
Yeah. I guess if
yeah,
you're looking, yeah, and like accolades, yeah, it would be accolades. It would be Gustav. Yeah. Because he had a good year. He had a really good year. Yeah. Because I think I've broken the total the most. I think we like 6 times or something.
it's another one I
Something
saw.
like
So
6 or 7 times. Yeah.
someone had posted it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it showed Cayco.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's like I don't like the I'm not I don't like mean it weird like in a bad way, but I always find it like funny that I've been like because like when I first broke the record it was 873 like officially, the world record officially. Though I had like done more in other in like local meets and such. But like going into that, I was like nine. I was like my weeklies were like 900s ish, high 800s, 900, like 910 on like those high end days. But then the injuries like were like tanking me so down. But I still happened to get the world record, and
Mm.
I thought that was like I was like good, but I was like but I like to look at it this way. Who knows? Maybe being hurt, like we would if I was just doing nine, if I was always strong and I never broke, I never like got hurt, I would the Sheffield thing would have never happened. All those things would have never happened. We wouldn't be talking about these battles and all these things.
Just about to say, my friend, you became a legend off of these battles. These battles, like you're one of the if you your career is a freaking movie. Every time you compete, it was a movie. In right down to the very last deadlift, whether you're pulling or your opponent is, it's right down to the wire, body weight or by 0.5 kilos or by you just some dude at Netflix, a screenwriter would write it just like that if he's doing a movie for it. And it's better this way. I got news for you. It's better this way.
Yeah,
In your second half, okay, let's see you go all out. Let's drop the hammer. Let's see the 920, the nine. Sure. But I don't know if I change a thing, to
yeah,
be honest with you.
yeah,
It's been blood and guts, rocky moments.
yeah,
Even you saying let's fight, that's your expression. Well, it wouldn't mean as much if you're steamrolling guys by 40
yeah, yeah,
kilos. It's like,
yeah,
well, easy for you to say. You've never been in
yeah,
a battle. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
But for you to be always in a battle and you saying let's fight, it makes sense. It's like this guy is the blood and guts Rocky of powerlifting. I've referred to you as the Rocky of powerlifting. You wouldn't be that guy if you didn't have battles all
yeah,
the time. It had to be this way.
yeah.
But what are some of your goals for the second half? What are you thinking for the future?
So more than anything is I must stay as healthy as I can
Mm,
because that's another thing. Like it's funny, like I saw more powerlifters be comfortable with taking little breaks. I think
mm.
I'd like to think I made it okay because it's like in powerlifting it's weird, right? Like you're not allowed to take breaks. You're not allowed to, or else you're no longer you don't exist anymore.
Well,
Yeah,
you've not only physically and mentally, but even your social media. People would think they'll forget about you. You'll fall off, dude. You've
yeah,
never been bigger.
yeah.
It's
It's
your social media is insane.
yeah,
Everything worked out for you. Like
yeah,
everything you wanted in terms of taking a break. What people are most afraid of is like, will I stay relevant and in the hunt? If you're a coach or you have any kind of business involved in powerlifting, that's a very relevant question to have. Will I be able to come back physically? Well, how long will that take? Or mentally, what will I feel like when worlds comes and goes and I'm not there? You've been at all of them, dude.
yeah,
You what? Where's Jonathan? You've been all you've done for the past years is nationals, worlds, Sheffields. Like, you know what I mean? How will I feel? And you won't know until you go through it. Well, Jonathan, you'll never have felt better. You're the best year of your life. You
yeah,
wouldn't know that.
yeah,
This is what, like, the thing when you have all the things you want, the big thing is you worry about what happens when I don't have them. And this year, you not only you weren't world champ, you weren't even there. You weren't like whatever. And you found out, you just told me that was the happiest year of my life.
yeah,
You know, there's no worst case for you. Now it's gone. That fear is gone. It's like, no, it's fine.
yeah,
It's better than fine.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, it really did solidify. It's just like it's not that you don't care about winning, you don't care about being world champion. I want to do those things. I want to be world champion again. I want to do these things. But it's not before it was like life or death. It was just like if you don't get it, you're dead. That's how I operated for like the most of my adult life. Even in my teenage years, that's just how I was taught. It's like you do this, or it's like here's this order. Here's an order, and you do it. There's no yes or no. It will be done. and you just have to figure out however you can however way you make it happen, you know? And so it's been real it's again, yeah, it's been nice to just see that that's not the only avenue. And even then, there's better avenues that's best for not just yourself, but like we've been talking this whole time, but for those around you. And yeah, again, I'm just really happy and thankful that I have the opportunity to go compete in April. I'm very happy that it's just in Georgia. It's just a few hour flight. Um, I've out of all the USA lifters that go compete at the international events, I pretty much travel the furthest because I'm on the West Coast. I mean, there's Oscar now. Um, but my flights have always been my travel distance has always been the longest. Like South Africa, it took me like 44 hours from door to hotel.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
It's like half a week. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And I was just like, I'm like, huh, okay, I'm gonna lay down, lift in a few days. And so yeah, it's like what just what you said. I had the best year of my life, and it makes you realize just like what is important to you. What are the things that are important to you? It's important to understand what really is your priorities and yeah, like I'm excited to compete, and I love that. It was only until recently, maybe only until like 5 weeks ago, 3 to 5 weeks ago, I felt the itch to compete. Like I was like, huh, yeah, like I kind of missed the platform, and I was like, oh, there it is. Like I've been waiting to feel that for like
Mm.
years, for oh yeah, I want to get on the platform. Versus like, oh yeah, okay, let's just do this dance, you know?
When
So
you get underneath that bar, warming up for squats at nationals, and you look around at all the other 93s who want to take your spot for worlds and your goal is to be the champ again, you're going to feel the gnarling dig into the back and you're going to say, I don't give a fuck about dinner right now. I'm going to eat. I'm about to eat right now.
yeah.
Daddy's about to eat right now. Like that's
Yeah,
when you know, oh shit, I'm back into battle mode.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good meet. So I'm really excited to share the platform with everyone. So and it's been a long time for me. That's the longest I've not competed in 10 years.
Over a year, man. By the time April rolls around, it'll be
It'll
over
be
a
12
year.
months. 12 by the time April comes around, it'll be 14
Well,
months rather.
February. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
14
yeah.
months that I hadn't competed. And that's the longest time in 10 years that I've had time between meets. Because I've been competing since 2015. So, and I've been active since 2015. That was like 2 or 3 meets a year since 2015.
And the last few have been nothing but big.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Nothing but big, man.
yeah.
The big game hunter. Are you now in this in the second half of your career? Is it more now like do you do big goals? Because you've already like obviously when lifters first start, and they're like, I wanted to accomplish this, that, and the other. And they have this big laundry list. And I've already read your accolades, and you've done like a bunch. You probably broke so many records, etc. You probably don't. People probably have to remind you and shit. Like you've done quite a
Yeah.
bit, right? You were saying oh yeah, I forgot about that battle. Like
Yeah.
it was you've done a lot. When you enter into this second half, which is cool to have this mid intermission, so it's really cool that there was an intermission between the two halves. But as you enter into it, do you do big goals, or are you like, I'm taking this year by year, nationals to worlds to let's see what happens? Is it more? How do you approach it now at this stage?
I think, you got to take things one at a time, no matter what. You got to take each one in its own thing. They're all unique to each other. Um, but sometime down the road, and like, you can't call a meet. I would like to do the 9:30 because if there's ever a time to do it, I have that I have that loaded and ready to go. We just have to choose when and where to pull the trigger on it, right?
Mm.
And yeah, that's just a fun goal. Like it's an arbitrary number. It's just like to me, like it just it's just
Like
it just sounds cool because it's like yeah, that's like 10 times, but it just sounds
10
cool to
times,
me.
the
Yeah,
heaviest 10 times body weight. And the thing is too, like, you're right, they're all arbitrary numbers. However,
yeah,
we always remember the first.
right,
Like when Ray Williams squatted 1,000, and in our sport, after 1,000 pound squats, after 500 kilos will fall, and different things like this, we are looking for the next one.
right.
And you was the 93, who the most accomplished 93. If it's you, I mean, shit, it's just another one. It's just another like bam Cayco thing.
Yeah,
But you're right also that it's got to make sense. If you're in a battle at nationals, your number one goal is to get to a world spot, and you wouldn't overreach and load the bar for more than you need because it's 9:30. You load the bar for the win. And
yeah,
and like I for sure get that. That's the it's your success is this is where your success hurts you, where you're always in the big game. So it's like, yeah, I'm not at a local meet. I'm fighting for a world spot.
yeah,
I'm fighting for a national title. Like, I'm not going to load more than I need to win. I'm going to win first. And then when you go to worlds, you're going to win first. So I get what you mean, where it's like, look,
yeah.
if it's there, I'll
It,
take it. But
yeah, that's why it's hard. Like it's nice. Like if you can just be like, yeah, we'll just do it. Because even then, say I did 9:30 at Worlds, then like, why would I even bother doing Sheffield? Like, you know, uh,
Sheffield would be the one. Sheffield
yeah,
would be the place that, like, yeah,
um,
let's take this. But
yeah. So you kind of have to be pick and choosy, even if the round's ready to go and like fingers on the trigger, just gotta you gotta you gotta be trigger discipline, is what I'll
mm,
say. Yeah. So, um, but yeah, in terms of future goals. I just want to do well at nationals and I just want to do well at worlds.
mm,
Like I've always been. I think I just want to do well, and if I happen to win because of it, that's cool with me. That's kind of always the mindset I've had with things, because it's just I think it's a much healthier way because then you kind of set yourself up to be like even if you win, you know it's like well yeah I thought I said it
right.
anyway, so it's like you know so yeah I just want to do well. I just want to do well, and uh I found and felt such a great sense of community that the powerlifting community can be, and that it does have, even if some people don't see it. You know, it's there. This is such a fantastic community. Powerlifting is such a inclusive sport. The barrier to entry to powerlifting is literally nothing. You need a bar and some weights, and weights can be anything.
Mm,
You know, a bar could be anything. It's like anyone can do it, and you'll see kids, you'll see older folks do it. Anyone can do it, and it's such in that sense, it's such a big community. You know, everyone understands. It says it's so easy to understand. Like when someone's deadlifting, when someone's squatting, when someone's especially bench pressing. Everyone knows bench press. You know, um, so the community's there, and we might as well try to make it a good community. And yeah, that's something I've really pushed for. I really want to be, at least if I can, I do have some type of platform, I suppose, some type of responsibility in a way when you do have a presence in the sport of just being something good, and I want to encourage people to do good within themselves, and then and then you can share that, right? So, um, yeah, that's kind of where I am.
my man, from the last time we talked at World of Sheffield, when it was dicey, you weren't sure what the future holds, talking about time off, to now on the complete other side of it. I feel so much better. I posted in the stories and I seen you share it. Thank you. But
Oh yeah,
that whole, welcome back. We missed you. It hasn't been the same. Dog, I'm speaking for all the powerlifting. We missed you. It hasn't been the same. And I am glad you're back. And yeah, let the chips fall where they may. And you're
yeah,
100% right. When you start talking to the point of it's win or nothing, then you miss like beautiful moments. You miss like, and even if you win, it's a relief as opposed to joy. Because well, it was supposed to happen.
yeah,
To approach life like that, then you're missing moments. you're gonna win, and it's only a relief you won as opposed to you win. You're like, fine, that this is amazing. Like it's a good perspective. I think you get your head on straight, and whatever the future's gonna card deal for you, you're gonna be all right. And you've already done so much. You're at a point like you've already done so much. Well, you already know. You've been around the world now and seen your
Yeah.
reception. But yeah, man, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we had you back on the podcast and I had a chance to catch up with you on because I know you went on like a journey. It
Yeah.
wasn't, it was I could see it.
Yeah.
You were going
Yeah.
through a different journey, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and finding yourself. And I'm like, you got to give my man space. Let him go on his journey, and he'll come back to us when he's ready. And once 920 hit, I thought I'm gonna reach out to him again because I think he's getting ready. I
Yeah. Yeah.
was like, I think we're nearing ready levels, but
Yeah. It's
but
cool.
it's
Like, yeah, because I definitely with that number, like I really like I have 925 like right now, and so I'm curious to see like with a peak, like once it's all there, it's really cool. Yeah, and you're right. I definitely need, and that's the thing I was aware of even back in February. I just needed time. I needed space. I needed time, and yeah, I try. I really think I made the most of that what I could in the 8 months that I've been out, so
no question.
yeah, yeah,
No question about that, dude. You I'm glad you did step away because it was only to get a running start. Right?
yeah.
Now you're running. Now you're running, man. Let's see what happens in April. Well, thank you for coming on, man. Let's keep in touch. I'll be there in April, working the event for US Nationals. I can't freaking wait. We got some time until then, but my man, let's stay in the DMs. Update me with what's going on with your life and everything, man. I
Yeah,
care to
man.
get the
Yeah.
updates. I want to
Yeah,
know what's
no,
going on.
it's
You
been
always got
good.
some
Yeah.
adventures.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good, man. Like thank you for having me and yeah,
100%.
I was like, dang, has it really been 8 months since we chatted? I was like, going, when I was getting ready, I was
Been
like, oh
10.
wow.
February's 10.
Oh, 10. Oh yeah, it's already December. Right. It's been 10 months. Excuse me. Yeah.
My dude, it's been
Yeah.
forever.
It's been a
And
year.
you left when you told me, I was like, fucking, I don't know if he's, what does this all mean? Is he coming back? Like, I
Yeah.
got, that's why I told you, like, dude, I'm never going to forget you, man. Like, you've
Yeah, when you
impacted me. I was
when you
all
said that
like,
to me, I was like, wait, I'll be back, man. Like just
you're like, I think I just
relax.
rattled the shit out of Ryan. Like, I haven't seen you since. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
going on? But anyways, I'm glad you're back, man. We'll keep in touch in the DMs. Good luck with training and everything, dude. We're
Thank you
all
so much,
watching.
man. Yeah. Thank
And,
you.
and for everybody listening, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and as per usual, until next time, six pack Lapadat, six up, and we are out.